Okay, so we'll be getting into game one. We got our good friend Avalo, also known as the Riddler, playing versus Alexander, player I've never heard of before from Lima SC. Once I get in music, I'll turn, or once I get in game rather, I'll turn on the music. Okay. So we have spawning up here, up in the top right side of the map, we have in the teal, it is Protoss player Alexander. And over here, on the top left side of the map, we have the god of Terran. It is the Riddler. Alright. So City's players decide to go for here. Riddler going for gas first here. I'll probably turn down this music in a sec, actually. It's pretty loud, actually. Sorry, one sec, guys. Okay, that's probably a bit better. Okay, so we have Riddler's probably going for a proxy. Jesus Christ, Riddler. So yeah, he's getting 2 gas, and he has his barracks already proxied across the map. So we're probably going to see at least a Reaper out of him here. He might proxy a factory with this as well. He could get the factory back at home too. Alexander will notice this coming, as he does have a probe coming up here. And Alexander went for a pretty greedy opening, actually. So he went Gate Nexus. And he still doesn't have the core, so he's actually not going to have the Zealot out for quite some time. That Reaper is going to get in there, and I think that Reaper is going to get at least 2 to 3 probe kills here. That's actually really bad for Alexander, especially like this low ground wall off. That is so greedy. This is something you might expect versus a Zerg, but versus a Terran player, that is just a bit too crazy. And Riddler smartly decides to build the factory at home. I think it's definitely much more all in going for that factory across the map. Getting that, oh my god, he's getting a barracks behind here, man. Alexander's just fucked here, I think. He doesn't have anything out yet. That Zealot is half done, and that's going to be out at the natural. As long as Riddler can keep this Reaper alive here, oh, and just barely gets caught by Alexander here, but it's in a bunker, and all he has is that Zealot coming out. He's not going to be able to mine from this base. Jeez, cold. And Avalo destroys Alexander. That was so quick, so easy. Avalo made that look like nothing. Like, he absolutely wrecked him. Alright, so now we'll just wait for that game 2 invite. Because it is best of 3. Oh, and they got Star Killer in this lobby as well. Let's see. Oh, and there's a losers bracket too. This is gonna be fun. Yeah, so let's see who we got. We got Eric, we got Starkiller, we got Riddler. There's a couple other players here. I'm not sure who they are exactly, but... And we're getting our invite into game 2. Alright, so I'm really expecting Alexander to take maybe a more safe approach to this next game. Like, he got that gate, so he went gate Nexus, and like that's really greedy, I think, in the current meta of TVP, to go for that. Especially versus most high-level Terran players. Like, most high-level Terran players aren't playing the macro game right now. Like, most of them are really deciding to opt for that, the quick ending. As we see, starting off here at Automaton, we have up here in the top right, in the blue, is Alexander. And I guess slightly lower left, it is in the red, Avalo, also known as Riddler. Sending an SCV across the map. I don't see a gas just yet. So, no proxy today. Oh no, he is going to proxy it. Okay. And we'll probably see double gas again. I mean, this is a pretty safe opening to do in TVP, I think. You only proxy to one Reaper, and realistically, like, it doesn't need to do that much damage. All else fails, like, it gets you a lot of scouting, and it really just lets you set the pace of the game here. If it gets absolutely shut down, though, it definitely can be bad. Like, if that probe is attacks the SCV as it's trying to build a proxy, and the SCV can't finish it, like, that's really bad for Terran, but don't think that's going to happen. And we do have Gateway Cyber before that Nexus, so opting for a much safer opening this game. Meanwhile, back at Riddler's base, we see him getting another supply depot. He will soon have enough money to build a factory back at home. And will he go for that barracks build? I don't think he can really get this up this game. Also, his opponent hasn't... Normally you do, like, chrono out a Zealot just to deal with that first Reaper. But it looks like instead he's just going to wait and save that chrono for the Adept. Guess not feeling comfortable with having that Zealot out. Maybe worried that it could just be tanked continuously. So, Reaper is out here. And I think that bunker actually will go up because he isn't targeting the SCV here. He's really going to need to use that Adept to kill that SCV first. So Reaper is second priority here. SCV does go down, so that means that bunker will not finish. But that Reaper's still gotten 2 worker kills, almost gotten 3. And he has an entire scout of the base. Second Reaper is going to come up here. I guess he can use that bunker for vision of where the Adept is. That's actually pretty cute of a use for that. Might be able to get 1 more probe here, maybe 2 if he's lucky. I think at this point he's just hoping he can scout whatever tech structure it is. But we don't quite see a tech out of Alexander yet. He will have the gas shortly to build one. That Reaper does go down though, so Riddler not going to be able to see what is heading his way just yet. 1 probe does get into the main here, and actually being very annoying, blocks that factory from being able to get that tech lab. Now we do have a Stalker and an Adept that are going to head across the map. Now this can actually be pretty bad news for Riddler, as he only has 1 Hellion out at the moment. Widowmine and a Liberator are on the way though. So they'll probably be pretty annoying here and get some damage done on one of the depots. They will have high ground vision because of this pylon. Riddler will see these coming. Back at home we have a Twilight on the way, so I'm going to make a chance here and say that he's probably going to go into some gateway centered style here. He is getting a Robo as well, so we'll see what he uses that for. Unfortunate there, let's that Stalker eat that Widowmine shot. That's really bad here. This could have been such a different game. And Hellions actually don't fare too well, or too badly rather, versus Adepts. He's actually done quite a lot of damage to that, and he's going to continue to do more damage to it. Wow. Riddler is such a Chad. But back at home, we do see that Protoss is getting self-centered here. More probes on the way. He's saturating that second base. Robo facility is almost done, and Blink is on the way. And more gates coming up. So production is online here. Riddler's second base is only just now finishing with this 1-1-1 opening that we see after that proxy. Liberator in the main base is going to get 2 probes, but that should get taken down by these stalkers. A bit unfortunate there. I think you want that to survive a bit longer, but not able to. Just kill that pylon finally. So Riddler's not in a great place this game, actually. His supply is decent. Workers, he's been producing constantly. His macro's pretty good. He does have 2 racks, which is fine for what he's been producing so far. I think Riddler's going to need to go for some sort of timing attack here. If this game progresses and Alexander is able to get to a 3rd base fairly safely with whatever attack he's going for, I think this is going to be bad news for Riddler. He's getting a Raven and Stim. Some bio. 3rd Rax is on the way. Not a big deal. He's getting all this production. Oh, 3rd Rax is floating there for some reason. Alright, well, so he has all of his production. His macro is hitting its beats here. And he is now ahead in supply of our Protoss player. The Protoss player does have a lot more in workers than the Terran does, though. And now that the robotics facility is up, we see that Alexander is going straight into 2-base Colossus. So this could end up in a push. We'll have to see if he cuts workers after 40. I think it's 44, 46. He's stopped now for a bit. Oh, I got some more. So either he's going to get a couple Colossus and then use this to leverage... Oh, I missed this action. He's going to use that to leverage himself into a 3rd base, or he's going to go for a big push. Dual Prism harassing a bit. He's going to be able to see what is up on Riddler's side of the map. Oh my god. Losing both of those Stalkers to one Wood of Mine. But the Stalkers do kill that right before they die. But not worth it at all. So a lot of Stalkers going across the map. They do have Blink. Riddler does have a tank, though, and a Raven. Oh, he actually has 2 tanks. So he's going to be perfectly fine versus this harass. I think at this point, Alexander really just needs to not take any damage here onto his Stalkers, because he needs to keep these alive. He has a much lower army count than his opponent, and that sentry is a bit questionable here. If that gets targeted down, yeah. So what Alexander needs to do here is leverage himself enough space in this game so that Riddler can't do anything to stop his 3rd base from coming up. He doesn't need to kill the Terran on 2 base here. So this is actually, I think, a pretty questionable play. He's killing a couple units. He kills a siege tank and some bio, but he trades out a lot of his Stalkers. His army supply is not really looking great. He's not producing constant units here. He does have a couple Colossus, which will be pretty good. His gateways are on the way now. But he's really just focusing on putting money into his upgrades, into his economy. And I don't think he can really afford to be trading out too many of his units just yet. Alright, so he might get that reactor, which would be kind of annoying, but really not the biggest of deals. Not really worth trading the Stalker for, in my opinion. Especially because Riddler's going to head out regardless of if that refinery is there or not. And I think one Stalker certainly isn't going to be the game changer, but like he lost quite a few Stalkers throughout this game. If he had more, he could certainly pressure this force a lot more. Like you see, oh, thanks for the follow, dude. See, a lot more Protoss players will keep a huge amount of their Stalkers alive and use it to pick off units across the map. Because if you can fight a Terran push as it's heading across the map and pick off like 6-7 Marines before it even gets here, that means it's so much weaker. But unfortunately, Alexander just doesn't have a huge amount of his units, and they're not even all together. That Raven is getting a huge... I don't even know what the hell that ability's called. That thing on the Colossus. Riddler's splitting up his units pretty well here. Some Immortals are killing a lot of these Marauders, but those tanks do survive in the back. Colossus does go down. One Marauder is left, one Immortal, sorry, is left alive here. And this is actually pretty unfortunate here for Riddler. He got a lot of value out of his units, but he needs to keep those alive so he can continue this push. More bio is heading across the map. They did kill all the power units. All those Immortals, all those Colossus are gone. Now it's just going to be gateway units versus bio. And he doesn't even have great upgrades on his gateway units currently. +1 for each of them. Unfortunately, those units caught within their medevacs there. So Riddler just going to trade a couple of his units here. He did okay with this, but I think he wanted a lot more. He is getting his own third base behind this, so he's not all in from this position. Riddler really just has to be concerned with the counterattack. And his opponent is getting up a fourth base here too. More Colossus on the way. Upgrades are churning out. We do have Storm, +2 attack, and +1 armor. Now, for a lot of years, the Protoss matchup always revolved around just getting out attack upgrades. But like, I really feel like in the current TVP meta, that armor is so important. If you have upgraded Zealots with armor, they don't die to bio. Like, they just are invincible. So you really want to chrono out those Zealot upgrades if you can. It allows you to survive versus so much. Riddler's economy is a bit stalled here. He doesn't have the economic might of his opponent currently. But he did trade and kill a lot of those expensive units so far. Let's see what's gone. So Protoss players actually lost more on resources, which is not very common in this matchup. Riddler is producing tanks, as I think he realizes he needs to create a good defensive scenario. Now, tanks in TVP are normally not the best, but I think in defensive positions you can make them work. It's really got to be cautious of where the tanks fire. If you can focus fire onto the Stalkers, onto the Colossus, I think you can get really good value out of tanks. But it's when they start doing that friendly fire damage after the Zealots have charged that you really see the issues. Now, at this point, I really hope Alexander doesn't go too deep, because that's a lot of bio. He has a lot of tanks. He does have Storm, which is a good unit. But he's going to lose two of his High Templars here, actually, to just a small chunk of the bio. And that leaves the Colossus as the sole purpose of AoE in this fight. Not even another Storm on this High Templar. Riddler can just charge right onto this force, pick down that Colossus, and just completely demolish this Protoss force. They don't have the armor upgrades to fight. Those Zealots are just getting completely chewed out here. I don't think Riddler will be able to kill that Warp Prism, so he will get away with at least a Colossus. But he lost a lot there for not really much. He will have more Storms available here back at his base shortly. But I think if Riddler keeps teching up here, he's getting his fourth base. If he can get some more Liberators, get some more tanks, I think maybe he can... Oh, Riddler's going for some drops over here. I think Riddler can find himself into a better spot in this game. His supply is even up against the Protoss players, so that's pretty good. For, I guess, what I would consider to be Riddler's position for most of this game. 2/2 is on the way, +3 attack and +2 armor here for the Protoss. If Riddler can snipe off the Templar Archives in one of those forges maybe, I think that's going to work wonders for him. He's going to get out here, gets quite a lot of value. Doesn't really lose anything for it. Meanwhile, he has forced the Protoss to recall, and I think that was a bit of an overreaction by the Protoss player here, as this will allow Riddler to siege up this third base location. He's going to pick off a lot of these Stalkers, and these siege tanks are going to make it so that I think Riddler will get a favorable trade in this engagement. Kills a Mortal, kills some Stalkers. These units are stimmed out so bad. But most importantly, the Protoss player is just simply moving his entire army around the map here. I think he thinks that he doesn't have the strength to split up. He needs to attack all at once. But this is allowing Riddler to get some good damage done. He's killed a Forge. This is going to stall the upgrades even more for the Protoss player. He's going to unpower a lot of these gateways here. And while, sure, these Zealots dropped into main here might be pretty annoying, I don't think this is going to be the end of Riddler here. Whereas Riddler has done a lot of damage to his Protoss opponent here. Unpowering a lot of these gateways is going to slow down the increment of units here. It's going to unpower the Forge, which is going to slow down the upgrades. And if you're playing this gateway-centered style with Robo support, you really need those upgrades going, especially that armor. Once Riddler has 2/2, I think Riddler can push and possibly win the game here if his opponent doesn't get that gateway powered up, or the Forge rather. Alright, so he's powering up the Forge here with some pylons. Riddler is dropping back into the main, so he can get some more damage done, maybe kill off this Nexus. At the very least, he forces the Protoss back. It's actually not currently looking at this drop, so it will get cleaned out here. Riddler not attacking anywhere else in the map currently, but that does buy him some space to get his fourth base up and running. Now, if you don't know much about Riddler, you probably just might know him from like that really long mech game versus Avalo, or like hear his name, you know, spouted by some people on the ladder. But he actually has some pretty good macro play. as far as like most of his matchups go. I can't specifically speak of his TVP, but I have seen him play quite a lot of late game TVZs, which is quite an intimidating matchup to play in that late stage. So I think Riddler has a pretty good grasp of this late game economy here. He really needs to continue to be producing nulls. Barracks are currently idle. I think he's just focusing on getting up a missile turret ring here. A lot of the stalkers coming in here. Those Liberators are going to siege up. Good split here from Riddler here. Going to negate all the damage from those storms. All the High Templar do die. And the Planetary Fortress survives. A lot of these Immortals here could get picked off. So a lot of units lost here for Alexander again, but no real value gained out of this. Now with that Colossus being the only form of AoE, I think Riddler can just steamroll in here and pick off all these units. That is a lot of Immortals though. Good split here from Riddler. I think he's really wary about the reinforcements because he knows this army is here, but he doesn't know where the reinforcements lay. As we see a couple High Templar here in the back. Now, this is the stage of the game where I think the favor can finally swing into the Terran if they play this right. He has Ghosts coming out here. He has Siege Tanks. He has Liberators. +3 on the way. Now, a lot of Protoss players, especially at this level, are actually, I would say, not really used to playing this late game versus a fully decked out Terran. Not a lot of Terran players like to play this style of the game. Like I think you even see not a lot of players get Ghosts in this matchup. So Riddler getting Ghost, Siege Tanks, and Liberators is going to be pretty tough for his opponent to deal with if Riddler can play this right. It's a lot to micromanage here, as it's a lot of units to set up. Like you have to set up all your tanks, your Liberators, and split your bio and EMP the Ghosts with the Ghosts rather. And it's not a very mobile army either. This is not kind of what we normally see. The Siege Tanks kind of changed the style of play that you go for in TVP, I feel. Oh, and all these tanks on Siege here really needs to siege them up right away. A really good spread on them, though. There's no way that Alexander can get up this ramp. And that Liberator there will make it a bit tough to engage here. Some EMP is going down on the army. None hitting the High Templars, though. They are hitting all the Immortals. And Alexander, he lost a lot of his gateway buffering units in that attack. He lost like all of his Stalkers and like all of his Zealots. He has a lot of strong heavy hitting units with those Archons and those Mortals and that Colossus. But EMP is going down on all the High Templars, which means that there's not going to be any AoE for the rest of this fight here. He's going to be able to pick off pretty much all of these units here, and that's a lot of value lost. His opponent has been building up behind this. He is getting this base here mining. Really needs to get those Vespene gas saturated. Because Riddler is heading into that later stage of the game. He's getting Cloak, getting lots of Ghosts. Now this is a lot of units to manage here for the Terran player. Same said for the Protoss player. If they have a lot of High Templars in their army, it's a lot of units not only to manage like their spells, but you need to keep them back. You need to keep those Zealots back. Okay. Actually, a really big mistake here from our Protoss player. It's only on +2 armor. That's why those Zealots are getting shredded so quickly. Like, look at how quickly these things are dying compared to what they should be. Huge clump up of all the Protoss units, and those Siege Tanks are just obliterating everything. And it looks like Riddler will be able to take this game here. Not much left for Alexander. Last Colossus does go down, and GG is called. Riddler going to take that game. I wouldn't really say that was surprising. I was surprised, actually, that Alexander was able to survive that long versus Riddler. As Riddler's he's a pretty high GM player. It's definitely no pushover. Oops. Okay. So, Riddler will go on. I'm going to see if I can continue to follow Riddler's journey. It's going to be playing versus Daydreamer next. I'm not quite sure who that is. The name sounds familiar. Daydreamer. We plays for Scythe. 5k Protoss. Oh, Daydreamer not responding. Uh-oh. I actually find, like, when you're in game, I think the StarCraft music is very fitting, but like out of game, I find it like so tedious to listen to. It's very, very harsh vibes, you know? You know what I mean? Okay, I'll be right back, guys. I'm back. I hope Daydreamer responds. Okay, let's see what else is going on here. Alright, so it looks like we got Prototype versus Star Killer gonna be going on. Daydreamer versus Riddler. And then winner of Starkiller versus Prototype gonna have to fight Eric. Sorry for keyboard noise. My mic is fairly close to it, so I don't know how much ear rape that is. I should really get like a... Okay, cool. Yeah, I should really get like a mic stand. I don't have a whole lot of room in my room though. Well, no, I think he wouldn't have hit me. I guess I didn't really... I just assumed he would. Alright, so we're going to be going into Starkiller versus Prototype. I think finals will probably, or at least the winners finals will probably be Riddler versus Starkiller. Unless Prototype is just some, like, absolute god. Prototype offline. Okay, so who's online now? Hopefully they're just ironing out vetoes currently. This is actually going to be a pretty close match. I didn't realize Prototype was this high MMR. It's only 200 MMR away from Starkiller. Of course, MMR is like a bit subjective. I feel like Starkiller does it a lot better in tournaments than his MMR would suggest. Okay, looks like they're in the lobby. Oh, Starkiller, you god. He even put on WCS Game Hard just for me. All right. So we're going to be getting into our first game. This is best of 3, I believe. Oops. Oh wait, I thought... Oh, never mind. I just assumed Prototype would be a Protoss player, but I guess he's not. So, anyways, up in the top left, we have our teal player from Alpex. It is Starkiller. And in the bottom right, we have the green Zerg from Risen, just Prototype. Sorry. So yeah, I don't really know who Prototype is. I don't think I've seen him play before. But he is 5.7k, so that is pretty impressive. So I'm expecting a pretty high level game here. Catch first from both players. Now, Starkiller is a pretty aggressive player in ZVZ, so I'm interested to see how this Prototype player will respond. And it's that time of the game again, where both players are Zerg and don't do anything for a bit besides make drones. Literally, the only difference here is that Prototype forgot to put a drone in for a couple seconds, and so Starkiller is about 8 gas ahead. See what these players decide to do with their first 100 gas. A lot of things they can do. Most commonly, we'll probably see speed. I think that's just kind of like the de facto. Unless you're going for something oddly specific at the start, it's hard to just like not get speed. So you see it from Prototype. Nothing yet here from Starkiller. He has to gas for it. Does he have the minerals? Not quite. Will we see it? He could also just save up for roaches. That's an entirely plausible thing to do. Not very uncommon, I would say, in this matchup too. Just get that roach warren and wall off really quick. Yeah. So probably see him get Evo Chamber down here. This will get scouted right away, actually. Very unfortunate time in there for Starkiller, as those links from Prototype poke up the ramp and see what's happening pretty much immediately. And now we see that lair and that Evo Chamber coming down. So probably going to be a +1 roach speed timing. Or at least that way to open. He will be stuck on 2 bases for a bit. His opponent has decided to get that 3rd base pretty quickly. So if he has the tools at his disposal to make this into a pretty solid game, I think. It looks like Starkiller is really worried about the Ling Flood here. As you see him, he was going to fully wall off for a bit, probably just seeing if the Ling Flood was going to happen. Then he cancels it when nothing comes up. And he does have queens in position now too. So nothing will come up the ramp. And he's just going to continually peel them off to go inject. Even going to get a creep tumor. Yeah, so +1 and speed are on the way. His opponent will see this too. They're actually going to kill off that creep tumor. They can actually get by. That's not a full wall off from Starkiller. That's a bit unfortunate. But he should know exactly what's coming. I think he wanted to scout the main just to make sure that there was no chance that it could be like a 2-base muta or something like that, because I'm sure you could go for some inefficient muta build like that. It would be inefficient, but because your opponent thinks it's something else, it'll take him by surprise. But nope, just going to be roaches here. We do see a huge pile of them. Prototype is getting his own roaches. +1 is on the way here, but it's actually going to be a bit behind. Wait, is Starkiller even getting +1? No, he's not actually. I thought Starkiller was going to get +1 for this, but I guess not. So yeah, I guess his opponent will have +1, which will be pretty good. Not quite sure what these roaches are doing out here on the map. I feel like this is actually pretty dangerous. If Starkiller comes along with his own roach speed and catches some of these roaches out, they're going to get killed off very quickly. And taking an inefficient trade like that is just really not what you need at all. His opponent only has 7 roaches out, so he's going to have to be very concerned here. Oh my god, going to catch that queen too. Prototype being a bit greedy here. He will have +1 shortly, but not currently. Queen is pulled down to help this fight, but Starkiller just has the roach advantage, and I think Starkiller should be taking this fight after his reinforcements roll in here. Lings are actually being very helpful in this fight, tanking a couple roach shots, making the roach disadvantage not as noticeable here for Prototype. A lot of these roaches really low, though, needs to target fire those down. Fighting on 2 fronts here is Prototype. He will pull all of his force here to fight as one unified front. A lot of his roaches are very low and will get taken down. And I think with that +1 attack only just finishing now, it's going to be pretty hard for Prototype to come back, as a lot of his roaches were lost before that. But Defender's advantage here is paying off pretty well for Prototype, and he is rallying down more roaches now with +1, so they are going to be packing quite a punch here. A couple of these roaches getting caught out here as they try to merge with the rest of these roaches, and drones pulled off the line. Prototype can't afford to lose a couple drones here in this fight. He just really needs to let his +1 roaches do the damage here. But unfortunately for him, Starkiller he has enough numbers advantage that the +1 isn't making that big of a difference. But this is still very close. I think with enough Ling reinforcement here, Prototype can come back here. Starkiller has finally evened out the drone count. So his goal here is done. I think he's just going to back off and try to get to his own +1. He's done quite a lot of damage. Starkiller actually lost more roaches than Prototype, but Prototype lost a lot of Lings with that too. So I'm sure if we do... Yeah, you can see, even though it looked kind of bad from that, we can see a lot more resources lost here from Prototype. So his earlier economic advantage is pretty much non-existent at this point, not only because the drones are evened out, but because Starkiller killed enough units that it made all the extra resources he mined pretty much null and void. And Starkiller is getting his own 3rd base pretty quickly here. Just finished. Starkiller's army supply is pretty massive, and all of that is roaches. I don't know what his opponents, if all of his opponents is. Okay, yeah, they're both just only roach at this point. I wasn't sure if Prototype had a bunch of lings hidden away somewhere or not, but I guess not. Now, Prototype has made sure to keep his upgrades going here, which is something Starkiller has been a bit neglectful to do here. He only got his +1 pretty late into the game. I guess he wanted to put all of his resources into getting more roaches. But his opponent has gotten +2 attack, and he's getting +2 armor as well. And those are going to be quite ahead of Starkiller's if Starkiller even goes for it. But the fact is, Prototype's army is a lot smaller than Starkiller's, and it looks like Starkiller is going to advance up here. A couple Ravagers here from Prototype as well. Not quite sure how I feel about that. I think at this point in the game, like, you just... Like, 3 Ravagers isn't going to make the difference in a fight. I think you'd rather have, you know, 4 or 5 more Roaches. I don't know what the math evens out to there, but... yeah, these roaches of Starkiller just diving right on top of Prototype. He has pulled the drones here, but really he can't afford to lose too many of those. Queens are in the mix here for Prototype as well, and just a really good angle here from Starkiller. He is going to be able to take down these Queens, these Ravagers. They're all going to get destroyed, and Starkiller is just overpowering Prototype at this point. I don't think there's anything Prototype can do. And game 1 is going to go to Starkiller. I guess that's pretty much what I predicted, but I wasn't sure. I've never seen Prototype play. As you can see, Starkiller made quite a lot less drones than his opponent, but that didn't matter if you just kill all your opponent's drones. Yeah, I think his opponent was droning a bit too liberally there at some points. You can kind of see, like, Starkiller realizes, like, where he's at in the game. I think a lot of the Zergs have that mentality of, like, okay, the attack's done, time to drone. But I think Starkiller realized, like, okay, I should only drone up to a certain point, and then I just keep pumping out more units, because he's going to try to get way ahead. And especially with, if he clicked on his opponent's roaches, he would have known that, okay, I'm at an upgrade disadvantage here. Like, he's probably started +2. I'm probably going to be behind in upgrades, and I can't risk fighting that long game. So Starkiller knew that he just needed to go in there and do some damage. Alright, so game 2, starting off here. We have up in the slightly raised right side of the map. It is in the teal, our player Starkiller, who has paused the game. Don't know what's up, but I'm sure it will be resolved shortly. Oh, okay. I guess you made it on the wrong server. Okay, so now we have in the slightly lower left side of the map, we have Natil. It's our player and playing Zerg, Starkiller. And in the slightly higher side of the map, we have in the green, it is our Zerg player from Horizon, it is Prototype. I think Starkiller is going to be going for a quick pool this game. Or, Prox is getting... Oh, I don't know what the hell Starkiller is doing. A hidden base. Slightly hidden. I'm not quite sure about the necessities of this build. But, hey, it's something different. Wait, is Starkiller going for like a 3-hatch? Oh my god, what a god. You really don't see this in ZVZ very often. 3-hatch before pool, and then gas before pool. Jesus, Starkiller has been 900% greedy. This is how you become a level 100 Zerg boss. Is you go 3-hatch before pool, and this level 1 thug over here, Prototype, has no freaking clue. He has no idea what's about to hit him. In 10 minutes, Starkiller is going to be making so much money. Prototype can't even think about that. He has no clue. He's never seen that type of mineral income in his life. He is done for. I don't think there's any way Prototype comes back after this ballsy move. The amount of larva and minerals Starkiller is going to have. Starkiller is going to get up to 70 drones, and then he's just going to aim move across the map with his drones. It's going to be embarrassing, to say the least. Prototype will have like Ultralisks, and he'll have Broodlords, and Starkiller will just have max drones. And he'll start building so many spine crawlers on Prototype's side of the map that he won't be able to do anything. It's going to be absolutely insane. And then he's going to build spore crawlers, and he's going to kill all of Prototype's overlords, so he can't build anything. And then Starkiller's just going to write GG in his base with spine crawlers. But in all seriousness, it looks like these Lings will find this third base here, and I imagine that our Zerg player in the green is a bit surprised to what's going on. 6 Lings here from Starkiller do push these away, so they haven't actually been able to scout any of the main base. And in ZVZ, you really don't want to put your overlords too far in. A lot of other Zerg matchups, obviously, you would send your overlord into the main base. But in ZVZ, the queens just come out a bit too quickly. Like, you don't want to risk losing that overlord. It's just not worth it for info that your Zerglings can get you instead. A couple Banelings here from Starkiller. So I don't actually think this is going to turn into a macro game. I think Starkiller's just going to use the extra larva and the small boosted mineral income he's probably gotten at the start of this game to overpower his opponent. Now this is a bit of an unexpected play because obviously you come across the map, you see your opponent has 3 bases, and you're like, oh crap, I need the macro up. But really, there's no macro happening here. It's just Starkiller's going to use that advantage he got in the early game, and he's going to use that to just power through his opponent. Okay, so Prototype does have a Baneling nest. Only 1 Baneling here right now. He does have 2 in total. Okay, yeah, there they go. And they both blow up for 1 Baneling, so that's actually not very great. Oh my god, huge detonation on the drones. 4 of them dead, and his hatch is gone. So already, things are going off to a good foot for Starkiller. One thing that's not so great is the fact that his opponent currently has Roach Tech. Starkiller will get some very shortly, but these roaches are going to be hard to deal with until then. Starkiller, I think, realizes that it's to his best interest to utilize these Lings to keep Prototype on his side of the map. Oh, come on. Wait, can those not kill? Can Zerglings not kill Ravager eggs? Is that not a thing? Did they do too little damage to pierce the armor? I didn't know that was the thing, because I had 1 health for like the longest time. So this is Prototype's, I think, best shot in the game to slap a win here. 11 roaches coming out right now, and a couple banelings on the way too. So I think if Prototype gets some really good connects here on the lings and roaches with his banelings, I think he can use his small advantage in roaches here to cement himself a win here. But he doesn't have a whole lot of time. Actually, really good target fire down on those banelings from Prototype. He is able to take out most of these roaches here for Starkiller. So I think if he gets some good reinforcements here, that he can power through here. The banelings are pretty good here from Prototype. More roaches are popping out though here for Starkiller. Queen's in the fray now as well. He's trying to pull back these injured roaches and morph them into Ravagers, but I think he needed to wait for some more reinforcements before he could push in. He didn't have a huge force at his disposal here, and only Lings as backup. I think Prototype just took too much damage from that initial attack. And Starkiller just using his massive economy here to his advantage. You can see he's mining 500 minerals a minute more than his opponent. So I don't think that... I think that was Prototype's best shot at winning the game, but unfortunately I think that window is passed. Now he's really going to have to hope for a blunder here from his opponent. Lings and banelings really just not the best versus roaches. Like, the banelings are okay, but like they're mostly one of those things that, like, if you have some lings left over, you might want to build them, but it's not something you want to get over roaches. And Prototype just lost quite a lot of units. He's down about 30 supply in this game. So he's going to be hard-pressed to come back. He's only now started to re-drone, whereas Starkiller's been at about 50 drones for quite a while. Prototype going to try to make some moves with some Ling counterattacks here. Hopefully just keep Starkiller home until he can run up to an acceptable amount of drones. As you see, 8 drones on a production tab from Prototype, but 10 on the way here from Starkiller. So it's going to be hard to make that comeback here. He's going to have to, like, pool his inner Serral and make an amazing comeback like the one he made versus Rainer. So one way I think Prototype seems to be trying to leverage a position here is by getting +1 armor as well. Whereas we often see Starkiller just go for kind of like the bare minimum upgrades, being +1 ranged. Which I think is much better in this matchup. I think the +1 armor is good if your opponent's going like Roachling Bane, like Prototype is. But Starkiller's just been going Mass Roach. That armor... I really don't think it's like that important. I think I'd prefer to have 2 roaches over +1 armor. Or at least from the position of Prototype, I think he needs to invest as much money as he can into his units. He's getting a 4th base, so is Starkiller. I also think this could be one of those times where you just build like some roaches or enough to defend, and then you just go straight into, like, mutas. Just something to catch your opponent off guard. Because I don't think, like, playing the same style but from behind is ever a viable choice. And here we have the War Machine from Starkiller heading across the map. Gonna kill that Overlord. Fuck that one in particular. And meanwhile, Prototype is running away because he's scared. Because Starkiller has a huge army. +1 Carapace just did finish here for Prototype, so actually probably the most opportune time for Starkiller to attack in, but that's quite a lot of units here from Starkiller. Queens are in the fray here helping out. And Prototype actually being able to target down a lot of these roaches. I think that anti-timing for Starkiller. He will survive for now, but Starkiller has +2 attack on the way and +1 burrow on the way here for Prototype. I wonder if that's a misclick or not. Probably not, right? He must be going for that ballsy Tunneling Claws play. I guess he's going to try to utilize some micro here. Prototype has his own +2 on the way as well, so he will eventually even out in upgrades here. Even though very shortly Starkiller will have a pretty significant advantage in the upgrades. I hope Starkiller will time this out properly in order to attack. I guess Starkiller's just gonna say fuck it, y'all. Does Starkiller live in a southern state? Do you think Starkiller says y'all? Alright, so big fight coming in here. Starkiller has a pretty good angle here on the roaches of Prototype. And Prototype's economy is just a bit smaller than Starkiller, so I think Starkiller can afford to lose a bit here as he is attacking into a defensive position. Starkiller actually going to back off for a bit. I thought he was winning that fight. I'm not quite sure why he backed off. Sorry. A lot more Ravagers being morphed in here from Prototype. He's taking those low health roaches, trying to utilize them a bit more. He does have Burrow though, so I really wonder if that was a misclick. I think that's something that a lot of Zergs can misclick pretty easily. But another big fight coming up here. Risen actually, or Prototype, God, I keep saying this is the first word that I see on the screen. Taking a pretty decent angle here versus Starkiller, but Starkiller is just going to push the issue. He's running up here, getting right up in the face of Prototype, killing all of these units here, and I think this fight is going to be the last one. And GG is called. Starkiller taking that game. I wonder, is Batty Azura? Is that like the Australian Terran player? Azure? I wonder. I should probably check the chat and see if he's here. Oh yeah, it is. Cool. Alright, so Starkiller versus Eric. Gonna be our next match here. I'll just change. Oh yeah. Oh, Eric's at the game now. Okay, so once Eric and Starkiller are done vetoing, we'll probably get into their game. Okay, so I guess Eric's at the tournament, so he has 50 minutes. See if I can follow Riddler News next one. Okay, so actually going to be Riddler versus Azure, or Azure. I'm sure both pronunciations were equally wrong. I'll be unfortunate if Eric has to forfeit. I think Eric has a pretty good shot of winning this tournament. Actually, like him, Riddle, and Starkiller are definitely my top 3 picks. I'm not sure what order necessarily. I think probably I'd put it Starkiller, Eric, then Riddle. Not to disparage Riddle at all. Riddle is a very good player. But I haven't really seen... Like, Riddle plays in a decent amount of tournaments, but I've seen him lose to players like Starkiller and Game Time quite a lot. So I feel like if it comes to that, he might have a bit of an issue. Okay. Okay, so Azur's on Team Legacy. I didn't know that. PP. List US. Oh, come on, Riddle. That's... Come on, man. I don't actually know what the rules are on this. Like, I mean, it sucks for Riddle to have to play on like 110 ping or whatever he gets to West. I get like 100, 110 normally, and I think Riddle is fairly close to where I live, so probably gets similar ping, but like. Is there any shrug emo? Oh, I can choose from emotes right here. Let's go baited. Okay, well, you know what? From a moral nihilism perspective, Riddle is perfectly within his rights to check this. As Azur is also within his rights to proxy, because I think that's probably what we'll see, unless that's just a really early scout. Where is Buddy going? Is he actually... Oh, he's proxying right... That is so ballsy, dude. I bet you Azur wasn't even planning on proxying until Riddle brought up, don't we play on Central? That is... If you're an Australian player, that's probably like the most tilting thing ever. Just because, like, I know from players who play in Australia, like, Central ping is really, really bad. Like, West US... is like normally like 130, 140 for them, for the bad spectrum. So like playing on Central's got to be like 200 ping plus. So I don't think like any tourney has its has its rules for playing versus Aus players to be on West US or Central. No, and it's actually gonna be Proxy Marauder. So I guess Azur's not really comfortable playing versus Riddler in a longer game here. Or maybe just this is how he likes to play TVT. Proxy Marauders can be pretty good, but I think the fact that Riddler has scouted this makes this a lot less dangerous. He knows to get that bunker up right away. That's not necessarily something that you always do versus 2x Reaper, at least not everyone's response. So he's getting Marines out. He has a factory on the way, so we'll be able to get out a siege tank pretty quickly. The thing is, behind Proxy Marauder, it's a lot harder to transition back at home. Marauders are pretty beefy, but he's going to need quite a lot of them if he wants to do any damage here. He is building more SCVs back at home, but still, he's not going to have a factory, and Riddle is hitting them with the Proxy Starport. That's such a Chad move right there. Azur is not going to be expecting this, and the second that a Banshee is made, Azur is just going to lose the game. Yeah, and the fact is, Azur needs to float this barracks here. 3 SCVs are already pre-pulled. I think Riddler has this game in the bag. A tank is on the way. That starport, that's just going to be the nail in the coffin. Azur might even leave before that starport is finished. Or actually, no. The starport's pretty well done. Okay, so we do have a factory on the way back for Azure. So actually, okay, not even going to go for a Banshee. Just going to go straight for that lib. Oh, nice try, buddy. Yeah, so he's going to just try to pick off that supply depot. That definitely is very annoying for Riddle. That siege tank finishing up, though, is going to be the nail in the coffin for this. All these Marauders, in fact, going to die. Looks like Azuro's back in home macroing for a second. Building one more... sorry, Marauder, this barracks. Actually, it's going to keep building it. I guess it makes sense. You want to try to keep Riddle in his base for as long as you can. So he should notice something's up. He doesn't see the starport. He is... Sorry, back at home, he is building a Cyclone, but that's going to be quite late. Okay, that is a Chad move right there. Not only does he hit some of the workers, but there is a chance that he... Oh, okay, never mind. I was going to say just like hover the frickin' the buildings and then build another one, but I don't know. Maybe that was a brainlet move. Riddle is a much more intelligent man than I, so he clearly knows the way. And he is getting Banshees behind this, so... 2 Cyclones coming out. And we have a Viking coming out. So that's a lot of anti-air damage here. But the big thing is... Azir is definitely a bit behind in this game. So he's going to be so inclined to mule as soon as he can. And he already seen the Liberator. Is he expecting the Banshee follow-up? Especially with Cloak? That seems like a bit much to commit to, especially after your opponent goes for 2 Cyclones. Obviously, Riddle doesn't know there's 2 Cyclones, but you would think in your head as Azure, there's no way he's going to build anything else out of that starport. It's probably floating home right now. He does have 1 scan available. Will he use that? This Cyclone's actually out looking for blood here. Will he find that Banshee before... Oh, he does find it, and this is actually before Cloak is done, so he could actually kill this before Cloak is even done. Gets completely destroyed. That's actually really bad for Riddle. Believe he cancelled Cloak there. What is upgrades? G. No, Cloak did finish, my bad. He is going to build more Banshees out of this, but this could force some missile turrets. It could force a Raven. Personally, I'm a big fan of getting Ravens in TVT. That Lib sieging up, going to get quite a few kills here. Pull here comes out from the 0, but he will lose quite a few SCVs to this. And that Liberator will go down, but he's keeping it there just to make sure that the SCVs couldn't go back to mining immediately. Plus also, a lot easier to just not waste your APM. Liberator coming in here. Banshee gets picked off here. Missile turrets are coming up, and a Liberator here from Azure. I don't think Riddle is actually expecting this. He doesn't have anything in position rather to deal with this. And Riddle not responding just yet as he is sieging outside the natural here. I didn't quite see what happened, but it looks like Azure lost like all of his units. And I think this actually could just be the game. He is getting out a siege tank. The thing is, Riddle doesn't know that's all he has. Yeah. I would think that would be kind of nuts to allow an Australian player to play on the central server. I think that's kind of dumb. So I assume that's what the rule was. It seemed like Riddle checked if someone, or at least checked the site. So I think they both know. That Liberator actually coming in clutch here. Riddle not quite looking at his units here. And oh my god, that siege tank is a beast. Look at that. Wow. Those Marines there, just waiting. They're coming in for the kill. They want that siege tank. I don't think they're going to get it, though, as that Viking lands down. That was so impressive. I thought for sure that Riddle could have, like, cemented that position into a win. I think that Liberator across the map did quite a lot, though. This game's going back and forth. Riddle versus Azure is turning into be pretty interesting. So back at Azura's base, which is literally on fire. He is sieging up that siege tank, trying to keep himself safe here. Wouldn't mind going out on the map. Banshee. We just had them building like one of each unit. This is like... this is like if my little brother was really good at StarCraft and can make things really fast. Because he'd just build like one of everything. And then try to use it the best he can. That Liberator going to get forced out, but it will go to the natural instead. Oh no, it's actually going to go stay in the main. Viking is here to finish this Liberator off, but it has 11 kills. 2 of which at least were tanks. So that Liberator definitely paid for itself. And both players are actually at even SCV counts right now. Thing is, for Azura, his 3rd CC is a bit far behind Riddle's. Riddle has a 3rd CC up and running. That means he's going to be getting 3 workers at a time. So any losses that he takes on SCVs right now, it was a lot easier for him to replenish it. And it looks like Riddle is following in the footsteps of his forefathers. And he is going mech. We've seen quite a lot of players actually going for mech in this patch. Or at least a lot more than I expected. I thought this would be a bit more of a dead style than it currently is. I should probably turn down my mouse sensitivity after this game. 2 Vikings at a time, 2 siege tanks, and some Hellions. This is very classic mech style. We've seen this throughout the ages. Looks like Azura is trying to get a foothold here. Each player does have 2 Ravens at their disposal. So I think the biggest thing that we're going to kind of see in this fight is how the air control goes. It is conceivable that Azura, with some amazing abilities on his Ravens here, is able to seize air control for just long enough in order for him to get a good foothold. That is a lot of Vikings here from Avalo. A lot of Hellions here too. The thing is, like, Riddler is playing very safe because he understands that he doesn't know everything. Like, he doesn't know if his opponent has 6 Vikings hidden behind this, or a 4, or a Widowmine, or whatever, right? He doesn't know. So it's hard for him to just poke up, even though he does have that air advantage. That full health, or not full health, full energy Raven actually gets picked off. And air control is going to be going over to Riddler. And that means these Hellions can just jump right on top of all these tanks. Not getting the greatest surface area here, but he will be able to clean this entire force of Azura's up. And as a bio player in this situation, this is not a good spot to be in. The mech player can normally get that 3rd CC pretty quick because all their heavy units they can build in small amounts. That siege tank is such a good defensive tool here. And all the mech player needs to do is hold on while they get that econ going. I should really turn off Origin. Those noises are probably annoying. 5 racks are up 4-0, so his economy will start pumping in here. He will start being able to produce. Hi Igor, thanks for tuning in. This Widowmine and this Reaper don't even know how much damage he... Sorry, this Reaper rather does not know how much danger he is currently in. Really smart move here from Azura, blocking off this path. As you see, Riddler has quite a few Hellions, so it's very conceivable that he could just send a lot of them for a run-by later on, especially as he wants to free up some of his supply. It's a really good way to counterattack. Riddle keeping some map vision here. It's going to be quite a while before Azura can really do anything. He doesn't even have combat shields in the way. And especially in the bio versus mech matchup, combat shields matters a lot because it increases the amount of damage that your Marines can sustain versus tanks. And just uncombat shielded Marines are just going to get completely eaten up by not only the tanks, but the Hellions too. So there's not a whole lot he can do here. We don't see a whole lot of Marauders being put into the mix yet either. I don't think he quite has the income to just pump them out yet. I think he's trying to get all of his upgrades going. But the supply is heavily in favor of Riddler at this point. And I think it's just because he was able to solidify himself into such a good position in that early game. So really, God, really no reason here for Riddler to move out. And these Vikings are just boosting across the map here. 2 medevacs here from Azure. Gonna try to go across the map here. Both players at this point, I think, are just trying to put themselves out on the map. Get a feel, get some damage done. Riddler's just starting his upgrades now. Not really uncommon in the mech versus bio matchup. You really want to just solidify yourself first and get a good foothold before you start really putting upgrades into things that don't directly keep you alive. See a turret ring here from Riddle. One hole in it though. Can Azure expose this? A lot of Marines dropped into the main. They can get quite a lot of damage done. They can kill off these armories if he targets them down. It looks like that's what he's going to try to do here. One armory does go down. I'm just going to pull into the back here. Try to pick off as much valuable targets as he can. A lot of these Vikings actually getting destroyed. So this is actually really big here for Azure. A lot of the air supremacy here from Riddler is destroyed in this drop. And this is not really something you want to happen here. So a lot of Vikings that have been killed off here. We don't really see the air switch here. Yo, what is that word? Yeah, so we don't really see a lot of Vikings here from Azure yet. We don't see any more starports added on just yet. So that drop did quite a lot of damage. I would say that almost evened up the game here, but just not really what Azure needed, I think, to solidify himself in this game. So upgrades are going pretty good. Let's finally get that 4th base up and running. 2-2's on the way. And he did delay the upgrades here from Riddle. It's only on +1 armor for his mech units. And he will attempt to do a run by here. There is a planetary fortress here, so that's not going to allow him in. Some supply depots here. And really good positioning here from Riddle. Oh my god, he's like herding sheep with his SCV, or with these SCVs here. Pulls them in one direction, kills them all in the other. And that will force Azure to come back home to clean these out. Nice move from Riddle. Keeps most of them alive too, so that threat is still there. Riddle's supply is getting pretty massive now too. Looks like he will try to head out. Not quite sure about this move though. A lot of siege tanks here. He did lose quite a lot of his Vikings, not to mention his Ravens. So this is going to be tough. Ravens still exist here for Azure. That's a lot of tanks though, and a lot of this bio is aggroed forward. Those tanks getting some good shots. A lot of these Vikings are getting taken down here from Azure, and that Raven going to get taken out here very shortly. Maybe? No. Azure is counterattacking on the other side of the map. I didn't even realize this. A lot of bio getting pushed up the ramp here. Some tanks and some Hellions here to greet it. This is a pretty good siege position here, but he's not doing anything with it. This bio here doesn't have many medevacs to heal it, so a lot of these will get cleaned up by the reinforcing Hellbats. More coming in here. Hellbats dropped on top. That was a lot of damage there for Azure, though. He killed an entire base, killed quite a lot of workers. Riddler down to 49. So Riddler's on the back foot now. He's really going to have to stay home and get that air advantage up and going. Let's see. Got a couple starports here, producing Vikings here. No reactors on the starports just yet. I think you might even want to just, like, swap over those reactor barracks here. But, Azure did say, Azure did lose a lot of army supply in doing that. So I think Riddle is unsure about where his position is in this game. He's going to try to take an engagement here, and these siege tanks are in a pretty good spot. I think Azure heading up that ramp was a pretty bad decision in hindsight. Unfortunately, he got a bit caught out there. He does have air control. A couple 4s in the mix, though, so actually this is going pretty good for Riddle. He really needs to just stim in with this bio. Wants to take out these 4s if he can, but I'm not going to be able to, unfortunately. And I think losing that big army there was just a bit of a bit too much there from Azure. I think he should have backed up. Waited for that air control, or at least spread out a bit more as he pushed up the ramp. It's going to force him off that base. Yo, what's up, Squidgy? So I guess my entire statement about how Riddle is on the back foot was just like completely proven wrong. I got destroyed in that debate. Riddle just took me for a ride. And so fours are pretty good actually with their increased range. It really allows the mech player to kind of make do in this matchup. So Azur's in a pretty tough spot here. And that tough spot made me sneeze. Sorry about that. Didn't mean my mic in time. Or at all, rather. So Riddle, this is a pretty ragtag army here, but he's going to utilize this to quite an advantage at this point. Nothing here that's going to be able to save this command center. A lot of SCVs are going to go down. Thors and Vikings are going to take out those Liberators fairly quickly. They do manage to pick off one siege tank, but not worth it for 2 libs. Large stim in here from Azur. He's going to need to spread his heart out. Pretty well upgraded bio at 2-2. So I think he can take this army out here. A lot of these fours have gone down, and he is able to clear out all the siege tanks. And that was a large portion of Riddle's army. Really good job there from Azur, saving up his forces until he had an overwhelming amount. Now I think Azur can put on some counter damage. This army is pretty weak though. A lot of it has been stimmed before, and there's no medevacs here to heal just yet. A couple being built. Really want to see some reactors on these starports. One random tank there. Riddle has solidified himself in a couple more bases now. This base didn't get killed here, so that's pretty good. Alright, so finally more medevacs do pop out. So they will be able to heal up this bio, so Azur can kind of go on the hunt. It's been a long TVT, dude. So he's going to be able to stim in here and probably take out this base. There's not enough siege tanks here to stop this bio force from coming in here. He can go up to that one if he wants to. Really just needs to back off and kind of take what he can get. A lot of fours on the ramp here. I think this fight is a bit unnecessary here from Azur. I think he got what he wanted from this attack, and now it's just time to back off. Lost a lot of bio for that. Of course, the bio is fairly cheap, so you can replace that pretty well, but I think ideally you want to just keep all that alive if you can. You know, he could have killed that base, ran up, killed this one, maybe scan up to see what it's like. He maybe not even know that base is there. Let's see what his vision was like. Yeah, he doesn't even know if that base is there. So he could actually be quite surprised to find that there. Killing that base though from Riddle was a pretty big move in this game. That really put Riddle's economy there at a bit of a disadvantage. We see Azur mining quite a lot more than his opponent right now. Probably has a couple of mules active, yeah. This Bioforce will be able to stim in here. He does have +3 attack, so he will be able to stim down this planetary fortress. Kills a tank. Sees the rest of the army, and he will pull back. Smart decision there. Oh, what are these SCVs doing? And I think he wants to go for a Doom Drop here. There's a lot of turrets there. They will be able to kill at least one of these medevacs, especially with that Viking helping out there. Really needs to send the empty medevacs in first, but they even have the upgraded range, so that's actually going to do quite a lot to them as they try to come out. At the very least, this will clear out the turret ring and delay some of the production here from Riddle. And I think any moment that Azur is mining more and keeping Riddle back from expanding and from producing, that he's going to continue to put himself even more ahead here. So a lot of fours. Holy. Riddle all armied back there. Azur really not playing the stock standard Terran versus Mech here. Normally what you would do is you'd stick around like 7 racks, add on a couple more starports and another fact, and you'd eventually transition into a much heavier like air style. But Azur's just sticking on this biotech and just continually trying to not base trade rather, but counterattack and trade with the army when he can. Looks like Riddle will try to go for a base trade here, I believe. Azur has a bunch of units piled up here. No siege tanks, really. It's just pure bio at this point from Azur. Alright, so you will pick off one siege tank there. Eventually that Marauder will kill the second one. That Marauder is the sneakiest Marauder ever. Okay, so it looks like Azur is going to try to fight his way up here. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no, no. Oh, no, no, no. That was just... Oh, my God. He had a move command all the way to there. Only realized later on. I think Riddle is going to take this game now. Oh, actually, a lot of these siege tanks getting cut out here, but these are 4s, and they have 2-2. 3-free bio, sure. But that's a lot of 4s. They have many guns. Needs to siege on top of these, and that's actually really good because he forces them to move back. Vikings coming in here to assist. Azur's army trying its best here. Going to be able to kill off all these 4s here, but those Vikings will pick off the Liberators. And if these Vikings land, oh no, reinforcements here from Azur. Oh my God, so... Despite what I believed, what everything in my mind told me, Azur, his reinforcements were able to clean up that flimsy mech army from Riddler. He's taken this base. GG is called. 26 minutes almost in. Riddler able to take game number... Or Riddler, sorry, lost game number 1 versus Azur. Azur, really great performance in that game. He just utilized that, counterattack bio style so well. All right. Game number 2. I was not expecting this. I don't know much about Azur. I think I've seen him play. I want to say I've seen him play in Pro League, or Australian Pro League rather, a couple times. But this is my first time really getting to see him play. So pretty interesting to see him taking a game off of Riddler. See if he can take a series. And here we have him, the Australian Terran in the bottom left. In the green, it is Azur. Going for a proxy yet again. And our unsuspecting Terran player in the top right in the red, it is Riddler. So it looks like Azur likes to start his games with proxies. We'll see if this one becomes the massive shitfest that last game became. That was such a crazy game. I feel like if Riddler went for bio last game, he could have had a better chance. I feel like he came ahead from that proxy situation. And maybe if he took more initiative in that game, he could have maybe ended it sooner, rather than, playing that longer mech game. I feel like it's not as safe. You also don't see Riddler scouting just yet for proxies. He might not be expecting a proxy in the second game. Okay, so it's one refinery. So I think this... Is this going to be Reapers? Yeah, gonna be Reapers. Now, Riddle hasn't done any scouting across the map. Literally only seen inside his own base. Oops. He's actually getting him. Oh, wow. He's like blind countering this. He really expects that proxy. Yeah, really not surprised. This is a build that we do see sometimes. I think I remember seeing a pig video with this build, actually. I wonder if that's where Riddle seen it. That Reaper here from Azure. Gonna get shut down. Concussive Shell's not just done yet, but Azure knows what's coming. He knows that Marauders are on the way here. Starport is being built. So yeah, this is actually not great here for Azure. He is proxying a factory as well, so I don't know what he's going to proxy out of that. Maybe he's going to go for like some sort of like Reaper, I don't know, like Reaper Cyclone push. Does get all the Reapers, almost all the Reapers out of there. A couple of Marauders here too, searching out for those Reapers. And I can't actually get back into the main here. A bit hopeful there from Riddle. This Reaper's gonna make it out alive. And Starport being proxied as well. So, what will we have here? Marines have been being stockpiled, so this looks like it's just turned into a makeshift 1-1-1, except of 2 barracks. Calling it a 2-1-1 wouldn't really be accurate, but and yeah, I think this could turn into a base trade. See Riddle getting Cloak Banshees here. He's heading across the map with all of his units, which I think is that's a very aggressive move to say the least. Marines here moved in from Azure. He has a siege position here first, but back at home he doesn't have anything to deal with this. And this Cloak Banshee could shut everything down if... So he really needs to cancel that Cloak, or else I think he's boned. He doesn't know what's up the ramp. He does know that there's probably a siege tank out. He needs to kill that tech lab if he wants to win this game. That tech lab has to die. Siege tank on the ramp here. Okay, so finally, Cloak is gone. But it's going to be a base trade at this point. And it's going to be tough here because Zavalo has a siege position here on the top of the ramp. What can Azure hope to do? Looks like he's going to try to use a friendly fire from the tank to kill the Marauders. And then his SCVs are going to surround it. I guess this almost works. But the thing is, Riddler is still mining. 2 siege tanks on the low ground here. I forgot to change my mouse sensitivity again. One sec. Let's go change that real quick. There you go. That's a lot smoother. Now, Azure really needs to camp to Starport. So he's getting his own Liberator. This is going to be used to siege the positions of these tanks. Oh, he needs to keep air control. This is so tough. All these Marines at this point are just like useless. There's no way they can get up the ramp. We even have a second starport being built here for Myrtle. So he's actually very cognizant about what he needs to do to win the game here. Marine's heading up the ramp. Liberator does get targeted down really quickly. Riddle knows exactly what he needs to do to hold this. And I think Riddle's going to take this game. Although I said that like so many times last game and it didn't pan out. But yeah, this time definitely for sure. Riddle has this game. I don't think anything Azure can do at this point will be able to keep him in the game. GG. Riddle tying the series up. Okay, 1 sec. I'm just going to exit out of Origin. Thank you. Okay, so our last game going to be on King's Cove. Alright, so down under in the bottom right, we have in the green. It's our player for Legacy. It is Azure. Top left, we have our red Terran player from Canada. It is Riddler. Riddler, part of that Waterloo gang, I believe. He at least hangs out with all those guys. I don't know if he actually went to Waterloo or not. And this is the first time in history, to my knowledge, that Azure has not proxied. Both players gonna open up things with a pretty standard game. Second guess here from Azure. We see a second guess from Riddle. I didn't actually follow the builds closely for Riddle for the last two games. Looks like he's actually going... So he's going for a scout here. He hasn't gotten that second gas, so he's going for Reaper Fast Expand. That's really not what I would consider like the current meta for TVT to be. This is definitely a more economical opening. But normally what players do is they go for 2 gas, get a quick factory, and go Reaper and Hellion very quickly. We don't really see the Reaper Fast Expand used quite as much in TVT. At least anymore. But Riddler, he's going to swear by it. This could bite him in the balls later. But he will get a bit of an economic advantage, so he can afford to throw away a couple SCVs until Cyclone comes out, and he can hold off the early Hellion and Reaper pressure. And of course, Azure will scout this. He sees... All he needs to see is the command center. He doesn't need to peek up into the main. He knows exactly what this is going to be. And is he going to proxy something? It looks like he might actually proxy a starport over here. Reaper here from Riddler. He's going to look for some proxies. As he didn't have any map vision earlier. I don't think he has CV scouted. At least I didn't notice if he did. So just going to check for some proxies. He doesn't know what's coming. SCV going to come up here. No proxied starport, but he's just going to use that to fight with the Reaper. So of course the SCV is a good way to take some like attack priority, I think is the right term, from the Reaper. If you have that attacking a Reaper with your Reaper, then sometimes the Reaper might actually hit the SCV instead of the other Reaper. 2 Reapers here from Azure, and it looks like Riddler, went and got a reactor and some Hellions really quickly. So he's actually going to lose an SCV down here. Now, time to find out the answer to, I don't know what you want to call it, a math question. Do 2 Reapers and 1 Hellion beat 2 Hellions? We'll have to find out. I think Azura at this point just kind of wants to delay as much as he can. We don't see him going into any more units. I don't think he got a third Reaper. He just stuck. They're stuck with 2. Oh, and that Reaper from Riddle actually got up into the main. I didn't see how many kills it got. But yeah, these 3 Hellions are going to force Azura to pull out. Is this going to be another mech opening here from Riddle? It's getting a very greedy 3rd CC with this. No tank at all. Just straight Hellions. And Azura will scout this. He's going to lose all of his Reapers for that information. Theoretically. Yeah. So the question now becomes, like, what can Azura do about this? His opponent's just going to mass a lot of Hellions, and he's getting a Raven out. Maybe he's going to get a couple out. I think that'd be a good strat. Get, like, 2 Ravens out. Yeah, they will. I have this Marine wall at the natural, going to stop Riddle from coming in, hopefully. They can just sneak by if they want. Or rather not sneak, but force their way by. Siegeshank is finally out here from Azure, so it's going to drive these Hellions off completely. They took a decent beating, but none of them died, so that's pretty good for Riddler. 3rd CC is done, and let's see. Azure's getting some Vikings out and some tanks, so we could see him go for the pretty classic tank push that we see in this matchup. So I guess to go on to what I was saying earlier about what standard TVT is, normally we see players go for quick Raven off of a couple Reapers and Hellions, and they get a Cyclone, and then they go into maybe like 6 Vikings with 3 tanks. And then they'll tend to go for a push. It's a pretty strong push in the matchup currently. You can use your own Raven to get a lot of damage done. Oh, actually going to take a lot of damage on this tank. Luckily his push isn't really at full strength yet, so he's going to want to stick back for a bit. Just repair that tank up. That is a lot of Ravens here from Riddler, though. With the low amount of units that his opponent has, he could just... let's find out what the hell that ability is called. Oh, it doesn't show on the side. I think it's like Disruption Web. No, that's a different ability. Fuck, I can't remember. But he's probably going to use the disabling ability on these Ravens, on the tanks, and he can just jump all of his Hellions right on top of everything. So that's quite a lot of Hellions, and they'll make short work of these weakened Marines. He's even going to jump right on top right away, actually. Or auto turrets, rather, coming down instead, and this push is just completely shut down here from Azure. He does have air control for now. There's 1 auto turret left. Just got to get a couple Hellions with it. Not the biggest of deals. This is really, really unfortunate here for Azure. With this tank push, like, it's normally a pretty strong push if your opponent is playing standard or has his units in the wrong position. But this mech opener from Riddler actually seemed fairly solid in the mid game, at least. These Vikings getting a couple kills here. It's an okay trade, I guess. Looks like Azure's just going to continue to try to push this. He doesn't have a 3rd CC. Oh, sorry, he's building one right now. I'm blind. But yeah, with this build, like, you really, really delay your economy. You want to go and do a lot of damage with this initial push. So what happened here with Azure was just, like, heartbreaking. His opponent has that 3rd CC up and running. He has a lot more workers than him. The thing is, Azure still has a decent amount of tanks, so he wants to try to make something happen, but I don't think that this is going to pan out very well for him, and I think Riddler is going to take this series. Everything from Azure here just getting destroyed. He's half the supply of Riddler at this point. Very strong build from Riddler, actually. I was not expecting it to be that way. Normally, like, going for Reaper FEs in this matchup is just very, very risky. Like, your opponent can do so much in the early game that you're just not prepared to deal with. Especially considering his opponent proxied the previous 2 games in a row. Very surprised to see Riddler go for that, but it will manage to sort itself out here. Though I guess Azure doesn't want to leave just yet, as he does have a 3rd CC. And with the 3rd CC, there is always a way. You can make the dumbest things happen as long as you have a 3rd command center. He seems to keep producing units. He's even getting a 4th CC up and running now. But the mech player in this matchup really, really likes his position. Like, his opponent is behind so far in macro. He's down 10 SCVs. He's only just started mining at his new base. His gas production so far behind. There's no way his opponent... Yeah, you can see even now. Let's see what structures he has. So Azure's on 5 racks, 1 fact, and 1 starport. At this point in time, I think in a standard game, Azure would probably want to be on at least like 7 racks, 2 fact, 2 starport. Or maybe even more starports after that. But he just can't afford to because his economy got so stunted from those attempted pushes. He's finally even up the SCV count, but he's been mining for quite a lot less. And his opponent's floating over his 4th already. It's going to be very hard for Azure to break this position. He's going to need a miracle drop, I think, if he wants to win this game. But let's see how many turrets. Riddler's already invested into 6 turrets. I'm not sure if that includes building one. No, it doesn't. Okay, so he's 7 turrets right now. So that's going to be able to reasonably secure a Villa's position in this game. The biggest thing you fear as a mech player is the Doom drop. There's always that time, I think we've all had that if you played mech at all, that whenever you head across the map, and maybe you built just a couple too few missile turrets, you head out, suddenly 6 medevacs full of marauders, marines, and tanks fly into your main base and drop out and destroy your entire production. And then you're just there like, well, shit. What am I supposed to do? But that's not going to happen this game. All these sensor turrets are going to dissuade Azure from dropping in the main. He has a huge force of Vikings here patrolling. Azure's going to have to play this one to the latest of games if he wants to make this work. +2 is on the way here, so his upgrades are actually pretty decent. They're just a bit ahead of the mech player. But Azure is going to stick with that just pure bio style. Like, we don't see him building any tanks at all. Now, this is really good if you just continually trade. But you'll never be able to hold any positions like this. You need to continue to move. Continue to fight. These Hellions going to try to make their way in. Going to get taken out by these tanks, but not before they kill that SCV. Do have a drop loaded up here. That scheduling supply depot is just like so key. He sees it before it even gets in sensor tower range. Only 1 turret here actually, and 1 tank. The Vikings are nearby, but they won't be in time to stop this from starting to unload. They'll be able to shut most of this down though. And that drop really didn't accomplish a whole lot. Looks like another drop here was completely mopped up for the most part. Kill 1 missile turret and some SCVs. But Azure he's kept his supply up surprisingly. His macro's been fairly solid. He's at 80 SCVs, which I think so. A lot of Terran players will stop making SCVs at around 60 to 7 or 66 rather to 70. But I think if you're playing bio versus a mech player, if you're playing specifically the style that Azure is playing, going up to 80 SCVs is fine. He's even going to build more because you want to trade a lot. And you need to mine as much as you can and just soak up the resources. But I don't think Riddler's going to let him play this extra long bio game where you trade and just continually build more and more units. Did he scan this army? Oh, he actually did scan this huge chunk of bio. Only 2 medevacs with this, though. Some bio units here moving out of the base, get caught out. We do have a couple siege tanks here from Azure, so these will be able to hold this ground for now. Of course, Riddler does have some Ravens here. He can interference matrix or whatever. I think that's what it's called, right? Down on this. Tank on the high ground there comes in clutch. Another tank on the high ground there comes in double clutch. And now we have Riddler, his Air Force. This is not something you see every day. Vikings killing planetary fortresses. And I think this is going to be all she wrote for Azure if Riddler decides to keep on pushing. You can take out these bases, stop the mining. Another base over here, but Riddler, of course, doesn't know about it. Probably just try to advance up into the main base. He has a decent amount of tanks. Fortunately for Azure, he just revealed the location of his other base. Probably. One single Marine here. Doing God's work. 4 kills. Will get destroyed. 3-3 is on the way. And 2-2 bio is pretty strong, but versus 2-2 mech, I think the 2-2 mech is going to win in most scenarios here. All this bio getting completely obliterated by this tank fire. And Riddler is going to take the series 2-1. Impressive series from both these players, though. Especially like that recovery from Azure in this game to come back from being so far behind to actually like being kind of a threat is very surprising. It's not expecting him to do so well. Okay, so we'll see who he's going to be up against next here. Let's put on some actual music, shall we? Oh, yes. Okay, so it looks like Eric did get walked over. So we're going to be going into Starkler versus Riddler. I'll update the stream title here shortly. Thank you, Riddler. Based God. Yo, 12 viewers? Damn. We out here, fellas. Okay, and as soon as I say 12 viewers, someone leaves. A Lamau. Awesome person. Okay. So, looks like we're going to be going into Starkler versus Riddler here shortly. So, spawning up here in the right side of the map, we have an teal playing for Alpex. It is Starkiller. And over here in the bottom left side of the map, we have in a red for Avene, the prestigious clan of the best players on the North American ladder. It is Riddler. Now, I spoke a bit about Riddler's TVZ earlier. I think Riddler has very good TVZ for the most part. I've seen him play a very strong bio-lib style versus some people in ladder, just on streams. So I'm actually expecting this game to go quite well for him if it gets past like the 15-minute mark. Now, Starkiller on the other hand, is a player that I really think of as more as like an aggressive player. He tends to play for that early game win. He normally doesn't really play longer macro games. It's just kind of the way Starkiller is. So I don't really think we'll be seeing any like very heavy like macro oriented plays here from Starkiller. And we have a 2 gas opening here from Riddler. Interested to see what this could be for. I don't quite know what types of builds would involve double gas for TVZ. I wonder if it's going to be for like BCs. That could be fun. I'll have to see. This, I guess. So Starkiller did send similarly Lings out. I didn't quite catch the timing of the pool because I wasn't really paying attention. But he's going to keep these Lings here for a bit. Probably going to wait to see when the Reaper heads out and then send it in, or actually just send it right in. Wait, did he go? I think he might have went CC first, actually. I did not catch like a single thing at the start of this game. I really should have been paying attention. But yeah, these Lings are going to get in here, and they do kill a supply depot, and they kill a worker. Gonna kill one more, maybe? Yep. And that one's just doing some damage on the command center. So, just being annoying here. I really didn't catch if this was... I feel like this was a CC first. Or maybe Riddler just went... Gee, I don't even know, dude. So yeah, anyways. So, Starkiller on 2 bases currently. Doesn't really look like he's planning on taking a third one, as we do see quite a lot of gas being taken here. Normally around this time is when you see Desert player moving out. Sorry. But yeah, we've seen Starkiller stop at about 28 drones here. Okay, he's getting more. Never mind. I want to say this could be Spire, but he only has 3 gas. Okay, it is going to be Spire. I thought you'd normally take 4 gas total with this. Maybe something very specific here from Starkiller. Anyways, from Riddler's side of the map, we can see he is going into a mech style. And so he is going to be getting some Cyclones out. Now, 2-base meta can be good versus mech, but the thing is you have to catch them at a very specific time. And with the style of mech that Riddler's playing, this isn't your conventional mech style. This is kind of like a newer style that we've seen with Hellions and Cyclones. And so he's going to have Cyclones out, which are going to be pretty good against the Mutalisks if he has them in large enough numbers. You can kill a Mutalisk, sorry, pretty much with 1 lock on as long as you micro back from it. And I'm not sure if Starkiller is expecting this. 3rd base is going down just now for Starkiller, so this isn't going to be completely like all in from him. third factory getting out now. He does only have the 2 facts. Wood mines are coming out now too, so that's actually pretty good for him. And third CC is quite ready. So he's going to have 3, maybe 4 cyclones out when these metas hit. And as long as he macros back, he's probably going to be able to kill at least half of them in the first go. It's going to be really dependent on where Riddler keeps his army at the time that the metas hit. They do have the upgrade already. So they're going to... I don't even know what the upgrade does, but they're going to be better. I'll tell you that much. Probably. I can't imagine they would have an upgrade that made them worse. And the metas are going to hit. Coming in now for 6. Going to be right on top of these cyclones from Riddler, and this is really bad for Starkiller as he loses half of those initial Melisks. Of course, he doesn't have to continue making Melisks. He has made 8 total, and it looks like he will be stopping at that number. He's going to use these to harass. He can get some damage done to him and hopefully keep Starkiller back a bit. Woodamine does go off, kills 1 Melisk, and damages quite a few more. Of course, these Cyclones, like, man, they do so well versus Melisk. It's actually crazy. Scans to make sure he gets the kills. Kills about half the flock again. That's a lot of Hellions too. Looks like Starkiller has started some roach production, but that's only 1 roach. Literally 1. And these Hellions are going to be able to get in here and do quite a bit of damage. Of course, Riddler doesn't realize, or necessarily, like, would he he doesn't know, of course, that there's, like, nothing here for Starkiller to defend. Oh my god. Gets more of the Metelisks. Gets only 1 from that, actually, but one of them's really low. It's just going to clear some creep. Of course, you never want to get in here, and there's, like, 60 lings with, like, 8 banelings to surround and destroy all your units. Just playing it safe. Playing the standard. It's going to come in here, lock on the Ravager, going to get some kills. Going to be able to lock on to some of these Metelisks here. Of course, they can't just auto-attack them as well. And from this point on, he just needs to continue to kite. And he can get quite a lot of value out of these Cyclones. It's actually kind of backed himself into a bit of quarter here. Takes a couple more losses than I think he really needed to there. This mech style, of course, is very aggressive. You pretty much can contain this herd by doing this, or should be able to. Starkiller did build a lot of roaches. And even Siege Tank's being built. I'm not quite sure about that move. That's... Wow, Riddler lost, like, all of his units there. This is very unfortunate for Riddler. I think he overestimated how much drugs Starkiller had done. Or underestimated, sorry. Jeez. Starkiller did, like, all of his droning behind those Metelisks and was able to get out 65 drones before even building any defensive units other than those metas. So he was able to get out a huge amount of roaches. Like, he could just afford to just keep pumping more and more resources into all these roaches. Siege Tank at the bottom of the natural here and one at the top there. That Siege Tank actually going to get taken out. Kind of unfortunate. Liberator's coming out now too. Not enough Ravagers to kill them just yet, so... And we don't even have any upgrades coming out here yet. +1 on the way. So normally I think, like, with this style, you tend to go for quick upgrades and stay on that tech for a while. And then transition into, like, Cyclone, Hellion, BC. That was a pretty common way to play. Maybe that's not really a currently accepted style, or maybe Riddler just doesn't like that. But this is a lot of roaches here. That Siege Tank's gonna be very key in trying to defend this. It's gotten a couple kills already. Don't have any overlords here with the army just yet. And with this high ground superiority here, Riddler, I want to say Riddler should be able to hold this, but that's a lot of roaches. They can get a lot of damage on and even cancel that CC. These siege tanks are getting quite a lot of kills. 7 Ravagers and roaches have gone down to them over here, but they do kill a lot of workers here at the natural and kill that building CC. It's going to be quite expensive for Riddler to reclaim his natural, and I think just losing all those units at the early game is really going to cost him here. All these units trying to get up the ramp going to get completely shredded here by all those tanks. Really good spread here from Riddler. He will finally secure his natural, but he's in a bit of a predicament. Burrow even being researched here. It's going to force Riddler to scan or build a Raven. Just pure roaches on the production tab here for Starkiller. And all these freshly dropped mules are going to get taken out here by these roaches. Really unfortunate. So a lot of potential resources down the drain here for Riddler. And he's in a pretty tough spot. Starkiller making this game very uncomfortable for him. Of course, that was a lot of army supply that Starkiller burned to do that. So I think Starkiller himself isn't in the best possible position. Of course, he does have a pretty good economy, but he wasted a lot of army supply getting to this point. And actually, he traded pretty well. I guess I'm just wrong again. Well, no. Alright. But, yeah. 11 more meters on the way. Ouch. That's going to hurt Riddler very, very bad. Riddler's going to need to play quite the game here in order to come back, I feel. But, I mean, Riddler didn't die, so there's that. He's definitely still in a bad spot, but I just assumed that he would have succumbed to the pressure from all those roaches earlier on. And he has no vision across the map here, so he doesn't know what his opponent's doing. He doesn't see the mutas coming. He doesn't know that they're on the way. Or at least, obviously, he knew they came out earlier, but not these ones. Oh, he's going to catch some of them on the way. It's going to be pretty good for him. Of course, that is a lot of mutas, and no amount of micro is going to be able to save these cyclones. One 1-man shot will go off, but there's not a lot of anti-air here. One missile turret is not going to cut this. These mutas are going to be able to just decimate this mineral line. One cyclone, 2 cyclones trying to micro their best here, but going to get picked off. And these mutas, I think, are going to be the end of the game here for Riddler, as he's in a pretty tough spot as it is, and he really just can't afford to take any more damage. Yeah, he could just jump on top of that missile turret if he wanted to. So many mutas, but he's just going to take out all the important units. Okay. Yeah, so at this point, all the tanks are gone. That means more roaches here on the menu for Starkiller. And they're going to be able to pick away at these command centers. GG is called. And Starkiller are going to take game 1. Of course, there's a loser bracket here, and both these players are in the upper bracket. All right. So, game number 2. Okay. Now we're into game number 2. So down here we have in the bottom right, in the teal, is our player from Alpex, Starkiller. And up here in the top left we have in the red, it is Riddler. We'll have to see what builds these players decide to go for this time. Alright, so what is Starkiller doing? Oh, he's proxy hatching. Interesting. Okay, this is the first time I've ever seen that response to a proxy hatch from a Terran player. Yeah. We have one of Starkiller's teammates from AlpXD cheering him on. He's getting 2 gas after this, so he's probably going to go into mech style again. I don't know what the... Like, what do you do as Terran versus this? I'd always just, like, build a bunker beside it and try to kill it, but I don't know what, like, you're actually supposed to do. Like, it looks like Riddler's just, like, leaving it alone. He just doesn't even give a shit. Okay, so he... Oh, cucked. He's... Okay. He is building a bunker beside it. Just waiting a bit before building it, of course. Doesn't want to delay his macro to get that bunker. And that SCV will get a full scout of the base. He skips a Reaper. Instead gets a Marine. And it looks like we do have Riddler getting that factory. Don't see anything else just yet. Reactor. Starkiller is getting... Oh, jeez. This hidden base is scared by these lings and destroyed. Or not destroyed, but that SV is destroyed, rather. And that queen will get out. So that's actually going to be super annoying, because he's going to plop down creep tumors everywhere. And just be a bit of a dickhead. A lot of damage on that CC. Not quite sure if that was the correct place to put that, but... I mean, it's alive. And taking quite a lot of damage. And Riddler has that SCV patrolling the third base, rather, and it's just going to be waiting for a drone to come down to try to build that, so we can see when he's going to do that. See 2 gases in the main, nothing in the natural just yet. And just drones on the menu here for Starkiller. Plenty of creep tumors coming down. He's going to try to spread them out as much as he can. I could either force Riddler to make a Raven, which he is doing, or to, oh, nicely timed. He's going to use all the Broodlings to soak some of the damage and target down this bunker, and he actually gets the bunker and all the Marines inside. Now, is there anything at the top there? Yeah, there's a couple of Marines. That... I guess the queen technically could kill them both, but like, for what, you know? Spire coming down here in the main. He's going for 2 base Spire this game, and I think Riddler should probably be expecting this. He's actually going for BCs off of 1 base, which is like the weirdest thing about the meta today. Let's see. Sorry, did Starkiller see that? No, he did not. He doesn't know about the BCs on the way, which is ironically a counter to the Mutalisks. Not an intentional counter, I'm sure, but it happens to be one. Blings and Queen here on the creep. I'd like to see Starkiller put down some more tumors, maybe. Because even though the Raven's gonna like kill all the tumors, it at least forces the Terran player to have to kill them all. Like it's some time taken, you know. I guess he wants it to try to go home. But yeah, 1 BC is almost finished. We'll have to see what Riddler decides to do after that. So Riddler knows it's probably not a macro play here because the third base was so late. But I think this is actually like the worst possible scenario. He flies this right into a bunch of Mutalisks. Starkiller can just micro back all the damage Mutalisks here. It took a lot of damage from the Queens too, so this battle cruiser could very well die. He's just gonna micro back all the wounded Mutalisks. He only kills one, I believe, and then like a drone or something. So yeah, I think the battlecruiser could have done a lot if it's stayed at home, but obviously Riddler doesn't know that it's going to be 2-base Spire. So very unfortunate for him, and he's not going to keep making BCs. It's just not worth it at this point. Like, you've revealed the tech. You might want to cancel the battlecruiser upgrade. Maybe he does plan to make more of them later on. I mean, he is playing mech, so it would make sense that your end game could be... could be battlecruisers. Kills a couple of those Mutalisks, but they do kill a Raven and a couple other units. And some Zerglings here are going to try to get in, and he's going to try to Bulldog his way in here. Going to take out one of the Cyclones right away, and all the Marines are going to go down. I think Starkiller actually can do this. He can do a lot of damage here to Riddler. It's not going to be many units here to deal with this. The Siege Tank is on the way, which will not deal with any of the Mutalisks here. So they're going to get quite a lot of damage done. These Lings in the natural getting quite a few SCV kills. The SCVs are lined up, fighting them one by one. Unfortunate series here for Riddler. I mean, he just got blindsided this game. I feel like jumping that BC without scanning is just so... It's just so risky. You don't know what's there. There could have been like 3 queens and like a bunch of sport colors there, and they could have destroyed that. But, I mean, of course he doesn't know. So Starkiller going to take that series 2-0 versus Riddler. It's going to send Riddler down 2 to losers bracket. And we'll have to see who's up next. So Starkiller will send himself to the finals, and Eric and Prototype, they're in the game right now. So Riddler's gonna play the winner of Eric versus Prototype, and then whoever wins that game will go on to face Starkiller, in the grand finals. Okay, I'll just be right back. Or AFK for a minute. Okay. So, we're going into Eric versus Prototype. So Eric is 1-0 in this series. Oops. Now, I don't think that's too surprising. Oops. Okay. I don't think that's too surprising considering Eric's a fairly well-accomplished player. We've heard quite a lot about him in the Copa American region. Whereas for Prototype, I mean, no offense to him, but this is the first time I've heard of him. He's shown a pretty impressive series versus Starkiller. He did almost hold his own, which I think is pretty good. I'm hoping to see more from this guy in the future. Maybe this guy can, in a couple of months, maybe a year, maybe he'll be the one taking games off of Starkiller and people like Riddler. There's always a lot of room in these tournament scenes for people to come up and improve, especially smaller tournaments like this. It's not as many people that you have to worry about. And we do see Eric going for a very aggressive 14 pool this game. So he's going to be going across the map and trying to kill or severely wound his opponent here. We'll be getting Nexus behind, which is very important. So this isn't necessarily an all-in strat, but what you want from it is to, at least at the bare minimum, you want to cancel that hatchery or kill it. Because if your opponent cancels that, you're in a good spot. You're feeling good. You're down a bit in drones, but you can make it up. You have a natural. Your opponent has to wait till they have enough lings to clear you out of the low ground before they can start their natural, but he is going to keep it. Now, there's a couple ways he can deal with this. He can build a couple lings, which he's just started now. If he had them building a couple seconds earlier, maybe he holds this a bit easier. But if he wants to deal with this now, he would have had to have built some lings and pulled the drones. But he's not going to save this at this point. He's just going to buy time. I think what he's trying to do here is trade out for all the lings. Which is fine. He kills a lot of lings. That hatchery is going to go down anyways. And from this point on, it looks like he's going to be going on the offensive. Prototype is going to build that bait nest. His speed is almost done, whereas Eric's hasn't even started yet. It's going to be quite some time before he can even get that started. So if Prototype here just masses lings and banelings off of one base, I think there's definitely room for him to take or to get some damage done rather in this game. Not a lot of lings here on the low ground just yet. He's going to trade out a couple lings for pretty even trade overall, which is, I think, overall pretty decent for him. But Eric is aware of the potential for a counterattack here. He's getting a spine crawler, he's getting a queen. Now, Prototype is getting another hatchery behind us, so he's also not all in. And I don't think it would even be wise for him to go all in at this point. Eric has prepared. He has a couple spine crawlers. And they're not at the front either, so they're not going to be seen until you go too far in. I think Prototype might have just seen the one. But that would be very deadly to try to fight into. He has a lot of lings backed up in the main, and he's building a lot more, so it looks like that is actually what Prototype does have in mind here. There is the potential for him to, of course, do damage. Anything is possible. But it's going to be very hard. There's a lot of queens on the ramp. No way he gets into the main. Looks like he actually cancelled one of the spine crawlers, but he is rebuilding 3 more, actually. So even if he is able to break this natural, he is... Oh, a lot of... 8 banelings went off there and damaged some queens and killed some lings. I'm not quite sure about how worth it that was. I have an inclination to say that was way too much overkill there. Maybe he'll get this queen here, but like he's wasted so many lings and banes at this point. He will kill both the queens, which is very nice, but 2 more are on the way, and there's a lot of spine crawlers here. 2 at the top of the ramp and 2 in the natural. Okay, he does get some in here, but there's a queen here. I think this game is a bit of a yikes moment here for Prototype. He's in a bad spot. He's dug his hole even deeper, and now he's hit bedrock. These Bane's gonna get cornered here in the corner. He is mining off his natural. Like, he has actually more drones than Eric at this point, but he threw away a lot of units to get to this point. And I wonder even if the amount of spine crawlers that Eric made was overkill. Of course, those spine crawlers will still be useful for the rest of the game. Can use those to prevent some counterattacks. And Eric is actually the one not... Okay, so Eric is getting more drones now, but he's at quite the disadvantage. His opponent is really droned up. Eric still doesn't have speed either. It doesn't look like Eric is actually going to get it. He's getting a layer. So this game is equalized to a weird extent. I am calling games way too quick today. I'm sure everyone who's watching in chat is probably pissed off by it, but I'll try to keep my game going to a minimum. But I thought for certain that Prototype was fucking done so at that point. I lost so many resources trying to do that. But I guess as long as you are droning up behind it, like, you can make wonders happen. And Eric is in full defense mode here. I think he's really worried about... Oh, okay. Where is that Nidus network? Oh, it's in the back. Okay. So, Nidus network. Niduses are pretty trendy right now. I think we've seen a lot of Niduses in WCS Winter so far. I've seen that clip with TLO and the Banelands. That was pretty cool. And Prototype may not be expecting this. And he is getting a Spire, which if it were to finish in time, could have been a nice counter, but it's unfortunately going to be a bit too late, I feel. Nidus Worm is already going up in the main base. And he's just going to flood this entire base of roaches. And I don't think 7 Mutalisks will be able to stop the amount of damage that these roaches are going to do. So even though the drone count is pretty much in favor of our blue Terran player, Prototype is going to get finished off here by Eric. And that means Eric is going to move on to face Riddler, I believe. That is who he's up against next. Let's go double check that. Yeah, so he's going to be playing versus Riddle. Riddler's away right now, so... So, pretty clean game from Eric here. Alright, so moving on to Riddle versus Eric. I think Eric could be a better match for Riddle. I think Riddle's very good. I like Riddle. But I think the way Starkiller plays ZVT is just a bit like outside of Riddle's comfort zone in dealing with. Starkiller is I would say, fairly unique player. Like, you really have to kind of play two Starkiller and not, you don't play two ZVT, right? Like you're playing versus Starkiller, not playing versus generic Macro Zerg number 22. Okay. Oh, cool, I'm a referee this time. Alright, so our first map going to be Port Alexander. This is, I need to make sure this is a best of 3. It might be best of 5. Yeah, this is a best of 3. It's just winners bracket finals, that's a best of 5. Okay. So, spawning down here in the bottom right side of the map, we have in the red, it is Eric. And top left, we have in the blue playing Terran, it is Riddler. Hoping we can see some impressive games here from Riddler. Looks like he's going for a pretty standard build here. Just a Reaper Fast Expand. And you see from his opponent, he's going for a pretty standard hatchery timing, I believe. Or no, he actually got that pretty early. I thought it was like 17 hatch that you'd go for. Guess not. Well, anyways. Now, I don't know like anything about Eric really. I just know that he's like a pretty good player in the Copa America region. So we'll have to see what he actually decides to go for here in ZVT. I mean, we literally only seen one game of his ZVZ, which is really not indicative of a player at all. I feel like a man can play ZVZ in the cheesiest, most heartless way possible, but then come into play a ZVT or a ZVP in an entirely different way. Just because, like, ZVZ is such a different beast. So I kind of doubt we'll see any Ignitus this game. I mean, that's the only thing we've seen from him in the first or in the second game there. Alright, and it looks like... Oh, it's actually going to be a 2-on-1. So, very interesting. This is not really a style that's as prevalent as it used to be. A bit better than it was in a previous patch because of the Queen nerf, but still not very common amongst Terran players. Most Zergs have this style figured out. I think it's still a decent macro style if you're not worried about playing against someone who is going to be cheesing you. So I definitely would not think I would see Riddler play this versus Starkiller, per se. But versus a player like Eric, maybe Eric isn't as aggressive, so it might be a bit more conceivable as to why you would play the style versus Eric. So we do see that hatch plated down over here. Reaper will scoop that. Now Riddler going to be going for that 2-on-1. He wants to pressure and kill some Lings. Just deny some creep while he multitasks and hopefully macros better than his opponent. This can also definitely blindside people too, because as I said, like this isn't really played that much. I'm sure there's plenty of players who still use it on the ladder, but I think this is a bit off meta, especially if all the mech stats circling around right now. Of course, it is me, Peter Spotto. It's not actually. If I was Peter Spotto casting this, I would sound much more like a surfer rather than like a hick. Okay, so Riddler took quite some time to load up his medevacs here. Just kept misclicking, I guess. Let's see what his opponent has on the other side of the map. So he does have 6 queens, and queens are definitely the magic unit. And he has a handful of Lings. Now, he has the tools at his disposal to deal with this, and it looks like Riddler, the god, has decided that it is far too easy to attack one location at a time, and is instead deciding to multitask. Riddler's brain operates at so many different levels. He's going to attack into the main here. There is some Zerglings here to defend this, and Riddler really will not be able to get much damage done at either front. That wouldn't mind those burrow, but nothing comes of it. And unfortunately, Riddler was just not able to get much damage done with that. It's a bit unfortunate. I think that's a bit of a gamble when you go for something like that. I'm sure there is a scenario in which Riddler does that, and Eric hasn't seen it and doesn't move Lings to the main, but just putting those Lings in the main completely negates that drop. It's not enough units in there to really kill all those Lings, even without any micro from Eric's side. I am sure that you can melt ham at some temperature. What temperature that would be is beyond my comprehension or understanding, but there is a temperature that would be possible. Maybe not even in our dimension, but in another dimension, we could see in our lifetime ham being melted. Alright, so Riddler can be able to do some light harass here. He's sending some Hellions and a Liberator actually into the third base of his opponent. Holy, and he's getting a lot of drones killed. 21 have gone down so far. Really nice job. He used that medevac with those Marines in it to draw the attention of his opponent while he attacked at a couple different places at the same time. This Liberator will siege up again, getting some more kills. Spire is on the way here, and this Liberator has nicely scheduled it, but we see Eric has decided to go for a counterattack. These Hellions are outside here. They will be able to get some good shots off on these Lings, but that is a lot of Zerglings. Liberator is sieged up. More Hellions are on the way. It looks like Riddler is going for a Biostyle, which, I mean, would naturally follow. that 2-on-1 opening. And it looks like Eric here is trying to even up the damage. 7 Meatless on the way. Now, Riddler did see the Spire. I don't know if he has an eBay yet. Oh, wait, never mind. I seen 2 barracks. I just assumed it would be bio, but Riddler has gone and switched things around 180 degrees, and he is going mech. This is something I think Eric will not really, I don't want to say respect, but necessarily see coming. Now, there's no eBay on the map, and that's a lot of mutas. He has a couple Cyclones, but for the units that Riddler has currently, that's going to be a bit of a tough hold. These mutas can really get a lot of damage done, I feel. Going to take out that Cyclone right away, going to take out that Viking, and now these SCVs are just free reign. Maybe Riddler didn't click on the Spire building, maybe he didn't really see it. I think that's plausible. We see on the other side of the map that Liberator has come, or not, it's a different Liberator. It has come in, and it is doing some damage. And GG has called Eric actually taking game number 1 here. Riddler's having some trouble versus Mutalists today. I guess he must have been doing too much at once to notice the Spire. I think what happened there was that, like, he was multitasking at so many places that, and trying to macro, that he just didn't physically see the Spire. So he didn't realize that the Mutalists were coming. Alright, so game 2 here, going to be on King's Cove. Riddler has elected not to join. Alright, so we're getting straight into game 2. Kind of. I was looking at my phone, so I didn't actually notice if they started it right away when Riddler joined. But anyways, so spawning down here, we have in the bottom right side of the map, in the red, it is the Zerg player, Eric. And up in the top left, we have in the blue, it is our Terran player, Riddler. One sec. Sorry. So that is a gas at a very... not even a very low number of drones. Seems like a bit aggressive. Probably going to try to send some lings over really quickly. Riddler going for, I think that was a gas first. So I'm probably going to see him go into some sort of mech style from this. What is this SCV doing? We could see Riddler just sending this in as a late scout. I guess possibly. Yeah, it is a scout. Unfortunately, we'll miss those lings, but if he gets up in the main, or even just like seeing the natural rather as a tell here. Yeah, and he is going to keep the Reaper back. Big brain play here from Riddle. Does realize what shenanigans are going on here as Eric tries to sneak himself an edge in this game, but unfortunately going to be denied. Very ballsy play actually, sending this Marine out by itself. I guess too he wants to see, like, is he stacking lings? Like, what is he doing? I think Eric is just going to wait until the Reaper heads out before he sends those lings in. Eric is so big-brained. Moves those lings in. Gonna probably get in a CV or two. Oh, can he get in a... Nope. Eric, unfortunately, not targeting down those workers, so he won't be able to get those worker kills. Those Hellions should be out in time. And that Reaper going into the main. Gonna try to see what's up. See if any gas has been taken. No, actually... Okay. Let's actually watch what is occurring. So Reaper does get taken now, but he does get a full surveil of both mineral lines. And he should probably know that nothing too crazy is coming his way just yet. He knows it's not at least like a very early all-in. This looks to be like 2 base Spire. Getting all the gases, no third base. And Riddler knows there's no third base as well, so I'm hoping Riddler realizes that this is probably 2 base Spire. Because Riddler is really... Okay, so he's building a Marauder, which is a bit worrying. Just slightly. He's getting his eBay up now. So, as long as he gets those missile turrets up shortly, he's going to be fine. He's probably going to want some Woodabites, or... I don't know. I feel like going Cyclone, or 1 Cyclone versus this is not great. So as long as he gets more Marines out, it's going to be fine. Just needs those safe space turrets to help him out. And is he going to get any? He might wait a bit. I'm sure Riddler probably knows the timing about, if he thinks this is 2 base Spire, about when they would come out and when he should be getting the turrets. But, I mean, he also didn't see all the gases go down. So he possibly might not know about this. Hopefully these Hellions will confirm any suspicions he has. He does see that the third base was very late. He can still hold on with just the Marines, but I think the turrets really add a lot here. Okay, I'm rather not going to send those Hellions in right away. 8 Melee on the way, and 2 Evo Chambers are backing this up, so he's probably going to get some upgrades for his Zerglings. And Riddler's actually heading out. So Riddler can get some damage done because these Melees are a pretty big investment here from Eric. So if he fights them like on his own terms, or rather like... there's some missile turrets, man. I think he probably doesn't know about Demetas. I'm going to guess that. He didn't keep any units at home to deal with any counterattacks. He's going for a Hellbat push off this, which I guess can just kill. So it doesn't really matter if Demetas do a lot of damage back at home, because they need to be here to defend his home. They're going to kill this hatchery pretty quickly. Queen is going to go down right away. That's a lot more Queens, though, to back this up. And they will have transfused energy at their disposal. The Mutas do come in. A lot of them getting targeted down really quickly. The Marines are getting targeted, or targeting down those Queens, rather. Those Hellbats are tanking a lot of damage and killing a lot of those Zerglings trying to come into tank for the Queens and Mutas. Banelings are being morphed. We will see these Evo Chambers cancelled. +1 on these Marines is helping out so much. You're doing so much damage. Now, Eric is really going to have to get some really good connects here with these Banelings. If these Banelings connect too heavily on the Hellbats, he's going to be in for a bad time. Now, he split really well here, is Riddle. A lot of his Marines dealing so much damage, and nothing at all gets hit by those Banelings except for like a Hellbat. So, Riddle just taking that game. It's tying the series up to 1-1. 2-1, 2-1. I meant tying the series 1-1. Yikes. You wouldn't even believe that I was born in an English-speaking country. Alright, so we're going into our last game versus Riddler and Eric. Speaking of Eric, here he is. Spawning up at the top. In the right. In the red. As is Eric. It is Eric. And his opponent taking that last game with a pretty convincing Hellbat push and some really nice splits. It is our own Blue Terran Riddler. Now, what is Eric going to do? I feel like this map is really not a map you want to play as Zerg and TVZ. There's just so much airspace you can get dropped from so many directions, Liberators. Like, yeah, sure, you can go mutas, but I feel like the danger of drops and early Liberator harass is just way too nuts to play a longer game on this map. So what is Eric going to do? He does go for a hatch first. So that is pretty standard. Other side of the map, we have Riddler actually going for a CC first. We don't really see this very often. This can be a good game to throw into series. Oddly enough, it would counter the last build that Eric did, because the CC finishes before the Lings even get there. But this does delay your scouting for quite a bit. The economic benefit can be quite nice, of course, as you will be able to build more SCVs more quickly. And 2 gas right away. I'm not sure if this is to counteract the fact that his gas is a bit later from the CC first, or if he just does this all the time to go in the mech. I have a feeling he's probably going to play mech this game. I'm just going to use the double gas as my only reason. But Alright, so circling speed on the way. Just more queens and drones here from Eric. So nothing fucking crazy just yet. Eric isn't going full sicko mode. And Riddler's even keeping his Reaper back at home. He, I guess he just doesn't really care about what Eric is currently doing. He just doesn't want to get fucked by some Zerglings. which I think is perfectly fine. If you're going for like, if you're gonna go for the same style regardless of what he's doing, like, might as well just keep the Reaper at home, because the information is really just not valuable to you. And yeah, it looks like we're gonna have that 2-factory Hellion Cyclone play. I'm interested why it's only 2-factory. I feel like you can fit going 3-fact off of this, right? I'm not quite sure why he only does the 1-factory. Anyways, we'll have to see what Eric's response is to this mech play. How well does Eric play versus mech? What is his reaction? And why does he have a Baneling nest? These are all questions that should be answered soon. Of course, you might not know that this is mech. Seeing that many Hellions out at this early isn't really like a tell of anything. So that's probably why he's getting the Baneling nest. Riddle actually supply blocked for 1.5 seconds. Sloppy work, Riddle. Eric getting his creep spread going. Riddle does scan the main. Sees the lair. I think this is fairly standard of a timing for the lair, so it shouldn't be too crazy. I think Eric could just die to what's coming here. That's a lot of Hellions, and those Cyclones are going to do quite a lot of damage. He just has to keep cutting back the Banelings, which don't have speed, which will be very easy. As long as he targets down those Queens with the Cyclones, he can just continue to get a lot of damage done. And there's not a lot Eric can do versus this. You really need Roach Ravager, or at least Roaches, to deal with this. And he is going for a Spire, so maybe if Eric can just hold on, as we've seen Riddle just not be very strong versus Spire, and oh, actually if he gets surrounded and, okay. Yeah, so Riddle just lost his entire army, and this style is so dependent on you being able to put pressure with those units on your opponent. He got surrounded by all those Zerglings, and just, I must have been a misclick or something, because his units moved right back into the Banelings. If you lose all those units, not only have you lost a significant amount of resources, but you've thrown away like all the pressure in this game. You can see Eric is free to drone. He can do whatever he wants. And he's going to be going for Mutalisks, which Riddle has a certain tendency to lose to. And he's still... Okay, he does have a 3rd fact, finally. Nine Mutalisks are out, but we do have 2 Cyclones at a time. So if he has 4 Cyclones out by the time these Mutalisks come out, I think he can hold on as long as he pulls back at the right time. It'll really depend on where these Mutalisks go exactly. Oh, and he also does have missile turrets and all his spinner lines. So that is very clutch. Riddle will not die to Mutalisks today, probably. That is crazy creep spread. Look at all those tumors, man. Do you see +1 air attack actually from Eric? I think he's gonna go straight into like mass air. Weird. He doesn't have a infestation pit down. Okay. He does have a couple Liberators there too, so that's actually going to be very good versus the Metas. I'm not sure. Is like Eric gonna just play like mass upgraded Meta? Like, why does he have that 2nd Spire come down? I think he'd want an Infestation Pit. It does finish. He might not have noticed that he put it down. Maybe a mistake. Finally have some more upgrades coming that aren't Mutalisk related. He's got +1 range. He's getting Baneling speed? Not sure how I feel about that. I feel like that's a bit of a waste. +1 air attack is almost finished up. We got quite a lot of cyclones here. With some liberators, so it's going to be... yikes. So these meters are doing a lot of damage with that +1. Like so he's getting 3 4s at a time now. Okay, so he should be able to hold this off. Yeah. So what Riddle could do from this point is just mass 4 Hellion. And I think that's actually not a horrible style to play, as long as you get a couple tanks to deal with the roaches. Because, like, yeah, it sounds stupid, but Thors are actually very good in mass. Like, if you get a lot of Thors, they put out a lot of damage. And Zergs can have a hard time dealing with that. Especially when you've invested so much money into Mutalisks. It does have roaches coming in Infestation Pit, but actually I think the scariest part about Eric right now is the fact that his economy is just absolutely blooming. He has so many bases right now. His creep spread is pretty good. He's covered at least all of his bases. He hasn't really covered too far into the map, but the creep spread is also very thick. A lot of tumors being placed in high density, which will make it a lot harder to clear. He does scout that the hive is making. So I think Riddle has a bit of a timer in this game. I think he really needs to hit a good +2 timing here. I don't know what these mutas are up to. Guess just looking for stray units on the map. He has +1 carapace as well. So his mutas are actually very strong. Relatively. Doesn't look like he's continuing to get any air upgrades. I think he might need to get a hive before he can, or a greater spire. I'm not sure. He lost 1 meter to that missile turret. That's a bit awkward. And he's going to lose a lot more to these 4s. So he's lost a lot of units here. 8 swarm hosts on the way too. Very interesting. That's going to be... I'm not quite sure about that. The amount of 4s that are here, they can shoot down a lot of those locusts while they're in the skies. And +2 weapons versus just +1 roaches and +2 armor on all these mech units. This is going to make for a very strong push. I think Eric is at the very least going to lose a couple bases to this. Okay, Liberators are sieging up. He does have Medivacs with Hellbats in him. He's going to drop them right on top of all the Ravagers, and that's going to blow up most of the Banelings and kill some of the Ravagers. He doesn't have a lot of tanks either, so it's really the Locusts here really aren't going to do the best of jobs here. Like, they're going to get destroyed by the Blue Flame Hellions. I don't think those Locusts got a single kill on the units. And that's just dead supply at this point. Eric literally can't make anything else. He's making 21 Banelings right now, but that's like the ST answer to Force. That's not going to work. This is going to be a very tough engage for Eric here. This mech army is very strong, and Eric just doesn't have the right units to deal with it, I feel. And he's maxed out on them too, so it's not like he can just, like, you know, build more. Eric's also has 84 drones, which is quite a bit. Didn't actually pick up any of those. So a lot of those locusts got destroyed by purely the 4 anti-air. We do have more 4s on the way. And some more in the production tab here. This is going to be just a very slow push here from Riddle as he realizes that this is an army that if it gets caught into position can get surrounded and killed by, you know, the Zerg army very quickly. Mules are coming in here. These Medivacs are coming in clutch for moving these 4s to their needed locations pretty quickly. And I think Riddle can take this game. Eric is floating quite a lot of gas. But really, he just can't build any units to fight this right now. 25 roaches are going to be on the way, but now we do have siege tanks. Whereas previously, it was literally only 4s. I feel like There's a lot of things that I think happened in this game that led to a potential defeat here for Eric. Maybe this flood of roaches will be enough to finally finish Riddle, but he has a very nicely spread out army here. I don't know where the rest... Okay, there's some more of the Swarm Host. The Swarm Hosts are just not paying for themselves in this position. They're just taking up so much supply. And the amount of fours here is just absolutely nuts. He's mass muling to repair these fours. That is amazing. And Eric can't upgrade anymore because these evolution chambers are going to get killed. A lot of fours in the front here are going to tank some damage. They do turn around to shoot down those locusts. But there's still 6 fours in the 4A here. And Eric is just going to run out of resources trying to fight this, I think. He's trying to build some Ravagers right now, but the locusts are all on cooldown. There's nothing they can do. And now that... especially with how Riddle has situated himself in the middle of all of the Zerg economy. The units cannot get to their desired location without fighting these tanks. Look at how many kills these tanks have. 15, 18. Even these fours have a pretty insane amount of kills. A couple of them do go down to the Corrosive Biles. As maybe we need to see some of these tanks moved a bit closer to the front here. I'm not sure what Riddle's plan is with those. I think maybe he just wants to zone out a bit. And behind us, Riddle is actually starting to expand some more, which is very good for him. He's done a lot of economic damage to Eric, but Eric still has quite a few money bases down here. That base is so low. Like, just suicide a 4 for it. Or something, like... It's killed another base. There's one more down here mining that has a huge amount of Eric's remaining drones. About half of his economy is located in this single base. And all the swarm hosts here too. They're now backed into the corner of the map. And I think that could be their last wave of Locust. These Mules do come back and they will get some tanks, but the fours move back in to support, and I think this is going to be Eric's last stand. Mules are coming out here. A couple Corrosive Biles have picked off a couple tanks. This mech army is pretty strong now, has +2 attack. And really, I think Eric just has too bad of upgrades even to engage this with any sort of unit. Like, it's just a very tough spot for him. Locusts are coming out now, but a lot of them are getting killed off by the fours in the air. Those Mules trying to pick off a couple units here and there, but the small amount of damage that they're doing is really just not going to pay off. All these drones are not cornered. So Ravager is going to try to get some damage done, actually on a move command, unfortunately. But 90% of them, actually 100% of those ones got completely destroyed. Those drones are going to be left to their own devices as they're pretty much just dead supply at this point. They can't mine anything for Eric unless he saves them somehow. But Eric is pretty much on one base at this point. This base is pretty much mined out. And GG is going to be called. We're going to have a rematch in the finals here between Starkiller and Riddler. Oh, come on, man. Is he here? I hope he's here. Okay, so I guess Riddler is going to forfeit the finals versus Starkiller. Yeah. That's so anticlimactic, dude. Yeah, so I guess that's going to be it today, guys. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. So Starkiller is going to take the forfeit over Riddle in the finals. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you liked my content, make sure to drop me a follow or give me money. I like money. Please give me money. Thanks. It's going to be it for the stream today. I'm going to find someone to host real quick.